Hello, my name is Chamchi Gimbap, and I am the political fish. It's good to see you all. I've been away for the last couple of weeks, but thank you for staying patient and being here. So what we've been talking about tonight is we've been talking about this crazy political test that Captain Swiss did on his channel a couple of days ago, and who was it done by? Politicalscales.net. And it's 117 questions. Yes, Shafted, it is 117 questions. And we're going to have a brief conversation about it now. And I have the privilege to be joined by Cameron. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. What have you been up to? You've been doing a lot of cycling?
Not so much. I've been waiting for my new inner tube.
Oh, right. Okay, so the bus has been running then decently.
Yeah. Well, of course.
It's like, why are you riding a bike when the buses are running, mate? Seriously.
Well, the bus run, but they don't run very well.
And we've just been joined by Gerd.
Hello.
How you doing, mate? You just cannot resist the Chamchi stream. Can you?
I don't think I've been on one of these in a while.
Well, I haven't been on in a while, to be fair. Like I've literally missed the last two Swiss Sunday streams, which is rare actually since February or something. So yeah, it's kind of rare. But I just thought I'd do an impromptu. Did you do your political test?
This one that Swiss did?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I have a screenshot of my results.
Excellent. We're getting to that soon. How you doing, Gerard? Anyway.
Pretty chill right now.
Pretty chill. Cool, man.
I'll put it in Twitter group, my results. Some of these things I know you're not gonna like.
Well, no, it's fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, before we really get into the nitty gritty of the test and my problems with it and what I didn't like about it and how we can dissect the results, I'm glad you've done it. If you've got a screenshot of it, then we'll all take our turn and we'll share it and then we'll talk about it. And we're getting into that business. So what have you guys been up to? So we've just realized that Cameron's just discovered the bus because his bike is broken. What about you, Gerard? Being chilled? I mean, it's summer. It's been quite hot there, from what I imagine.
I have a friend that I only ever get to really hang out with every couple of months. I have had him up for like the week, so we've just been basically hanging.
Oh, cool, man. By your ankles or by your necks? I hope it's not by your necks, but I don't. There's this really bad thing, right? This is in really bad taste. So I went to university in Swansea, and during the mid noughties, right, there was a really serious. Right next to Swansea, where I went to university, there's this place called Bridgend. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but there was a really bad spate of teenagers killing themselves in Bridgend, and they went to Bridgend, and there was a pub quiz, and they put their team name as Hanging Around Bridgend, and you're just like, oh my god, you bastards. Like, how much bad taste do you want? But to be fair, if you've ever been to Bridgend, I wouldn't blame them. But moving on. So right, let's get on to this quiz. I'm going to share my results with you guys. hang on, let's have a look at here we got some of the comments. Let's see who's joining us. Anyway, so we got Shafted in chat. Hey Shafted. We got Asim. Hey Asim, how you doing? He told me off earlier, so I feel like I'm still on the naughty step at the moment with Asim. Who else we got here? Yes, Shafted, you need to do that test. I know it's 170 questions, but it doesn't take long. Who else we got here? Jack James. Jack James, how you doing, comrade? Yes, I am back in the mix. Rahim Ali. Ali, dude, get a mic sorted. Get your voice sorted. You seem to have a loud voice when you're on the side chat, but not when you're talking. And, you know, we need to bring that out of you somehow. What? Nationalizing Greggs is a human right? Maybe I'll strongly agree with that. If anybody's done the quiz, that's an in joke. But yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I'm gonna share my results. Let me just get rid of all the porn windows I've got open up here, and then I'll share my screen. Yo, no. All right. Okay, can you all see this?
Yes.
Yep. How about you, Gerard? Can you see it?
Yep.
I kind of like this like flag that they've made up for me. It looks like a proper like communist kind of Jamaican style thing, you know. Socialism, humanity, and justice. Yeah, it's quite it's very Stalinist, isn't it? These three terms I've given for me. Constructivism versus essentialism. So yeah, that's a bit strange. Rehabilitative justice, 67%. Punitive justice, look how low that is. Like progressive, yeah, I'm very progressive, obviously. Internationalism, very internationalist. Nationalism, not really. But there wasn't a question about football, was there? You know, if there was a question about football, then that'd be the other end, you know, during a World Cup and all that, you know, it'd be the other end, you know, fuck everybody else. It's all about England. But, you know, talking about ideologies, 76%. Communism, oh, 88%. This is going to be an interesting figure that we're going to look at later on, I think. Well, look at me towards laissez-faire. I just really don't trust capitalism, obviously. 98% regulationism. Fucking hell. This is one that I find quite interesting. This last, second to last one, ecology versus productionism. Whether we should protect the ecology or the environment versus human needs. And I think we should scale back human needs with regards to protecting the environment. And this is something that I've found quite interesting, that no one's as high as me on this one, which I find quite scary, actually. And again, this will be a figure that I'll be looking to compare. Quite interesting. Revolution versus reformism. I honestly thought I'd be higher on reformism, considering I'm an evolutionary socialist rather than a revolutionary socialist. You know? And if we talk about people like Phil Mason, for instance, he had a surprisingly high revolution. He was at like 45% on revolution when compared to reformism, which I thought was very, very strange when when it comes to a Tory. So I mean, that's my short analysis of my figures. Cam, do you want to go next?
Yeah, might be a bit interesting. Probably a bit more reserved and scaled back than yours, but very similar. All right, I share it.
There you go. Okay, so I can do something here. That's cool.
Right, can you see it?
I can indeed. I can indeed.
But justice, socialism, and ecology. So I got a few interesting views, a lot of neutrals, because
yeah, this
the question is then.
Hang on. Before you go, Cameron, before you go any further, something that one of the other things I noticed with mine compared to everybody else's is that I didn't have very many grey gaps, not massive grey gaps. It was also one or the other, you know. Whereas when I've seen other people's, there have been massive grey gaps in a lot of theirs. Like if we look at just your first one, granted it's constructivism versus essentialism, there's quite a big grey gap. But there are massive grey gaps. But yeah, go on, carry on.
Look at the bottom one in particular. Look at that. We're over 26%.
Yeah, that's proper. That's almost 50-50, mate. That's a recount, isn't it? You know, that's only 5%, man.
It was the people's vote on it. That's what we mean.
Yeah, that's right. We need a people's vote on that one. Revolution versus reformism. Yeah.
But on this one, I'll neutral a lot of them because I didn't believe it wasn't either way. I think change comes from the individual, from the education, and changing the community. So basically, that's the reason why I'm neutral a lot of these.
Yeah.
Especially this one. And that I found that interesting. Internationalism versus nationalism. You can see the massive grey area on this one.
Yeah. That's. Hang on. I need to zoom on that one. Sorry. Yeah, internationalism versus nationalism. Well, yeah. That's kind of weird. There's a massive grey area there.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is flawed because we represent my views and the questions very much.
Yeah, we're getting. We'll get on.
But I think that's not accurate. Probably a scale. I'll probably put that probably at 70% if you want to test. 30% naturalism, but see, I'm 69% communist, which is more than Captain Swiss, at least.
Well, he's basically Switzerland, so you know.
Yeah, but I got a fair.
Yeah, go on.
Got a very large grey area here.
Yeah.
But this one here, ecology versus productivism. That I expect ecology to be a lot more than that one. One more interesting thing is that I actually have a trait here. It kind of looks like the Illuminati symbol.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Is that your trait?
Yeah, and you can see it here. Complotism. The biggest problems in our society are the work of a small group of people. It's essential to find them, inform people of their objective, and neutralize them.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I'm gonna have to check out mine. Like, I didn't even know that actually existed. Like, really? Really?
Oh yeah. Man, I don't think you got one actually. When I looked at yours. Also,
no, I didn't get one. No, I didn't. You're right. I didn't get a trait. Oh, that's a shame.
So my behaviour of justice is at 75%. I don't think. How much is yours again on that?
On which one?
On the justice one.
Justice. Right. I was 67 on rehabilitative.
Yes, so no one's got more than me on that one, which is really interesting.
Yeah, but that was yeah, that's the biggest one. I've got a gray area on, like 28%. Like so 28% where there's so 67 plus 28, which means I'm really not up for any punitive justice at all. So which is, to be honest, is pretty close. I'm more into research, into the ideals, or the circumstances and the context that these crimes are being committed in, rather than the actual crimes themselves. So I suppose that's quite accurate, but the 28% like gray area is a bit inaccurate, I would say.
Yeah.
But
yeah, out of all of them, I think this one's the most accurate. So regulationism versus laissez-faire, that's the most accurate one. To be honest.
And what did you get? What did you get on that one?
79% regulationism.
Ah, okay. I got 98%. 98%, and the other 2% is grey. I suppose that's what boosts my communism so high, you know, like fucking hell.
Yeah.
But there we go. Yeah. What about your ecology? What figure was your ecology again?
So 52%, which is not as much I expected, but still, my actually is a trait here: justice, socialism, ecology. So that's still there.
Sorry, hang on. Sorry, my drink ran down the wrong hole. Yeah, definitely. Revolution versus reformism.
That's the most interesting one.
Yeah, go on.
So the revolution is only 26%.
Right.
Look at that huge grey area there. And reformism is at 31. So
yeah, there is a massive, like, that's basically the you know, the 2008 fucking election period. That is, you know, 1998, 2006 the election period, i.e. the majority just didn't vote. You know, on that one. Yeah.
Well, you can see the reason for this is because I'm very depends on the circumstance. You need a revolution or reform, and I think changes come from education more than anything else, and actually bring out the truth about subjects. So that's why that's like that. I think.
Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, so Gerard.
Yep.
Are you fit, mate, to talk about your results? Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be divisive. Oh, let's see. Right, so sure, that should be. Is that good?
Hang on, let's see.
Are we getting the?
There we go. Yeah, we got. We're getting Inception. Ah.
All right, so here is my results. A little bit less of a communist flag here.
Work, ecology, revolution. Oh, interesting. That's cool.
So I'm probably. I know it's a bad word on this channel, but I'm probably a bit more centrist on a couple of things.
Ooh, someone's getting a bullet.
I don't think I have as many blank spaces as people. Obviously, the whole regulation thing, there's like 50% over here, but I don't think it's as bad as some people's are.
I think that's an interesting one. Regulation, where you do have a massive grey area. I mean, it's the biggest one, 50%, right? Regulation versus laissez-faire. I think that's one of the hardest ones to actually, you know. So, like, if you get a decent argument towards laissez-faire kind of economics, then you're like, okay, let's see how it goes. But if you go too far and if you create a monopoly, then we're going to regulate you. So I can kind of understand that gray area in that certain thing, in that specific what would you call it, ideology, or that sector, or that specific questionable zone. I don't know. I do understand that gray area there. Okay. Ecology versus productivism. I don't understand why it's so even. Okay, but
I don't know either. They seem like polar opposites, but yeah. I think the whole thing with the regulationism is, I think personally, now I haven't looked too much into it, but I think personally, I think you should have enough regulation on it to keep it afloat and make sure it doesn't fall apart, like, say, 2008, to where they basically had an economy that just didn't work.
Yeah.
But I also think you need a little bit of wiggle room in there, so everything isn't just completely dominated by regulation, but that's just me.
Gerard, can I ask you a question? Were you like 10 years old in 2008?
It.
Fuck me, man. Yeah, you can talk about the 2008. Well, I suppose you only look at it in retrospective terms, don't you? Because you only reading everything post, whereas you didn't read anything before that, and you wasn't watching any documentaries before the 2008 crash, which is quite interesting.
I'm trying to remember back then. I think at that point my general knowledge of politics was, I think it was either Blair or Brown was PM, Obama was president. That was about it.
Wow.
I learned a lot more later on, obviously, but
yeah, obviously. I mean, you're a very valued contributor, but I mean, 2008. That's, for someone like you, that's obviously a long time ago. But for someone like me, it seems like yesterday sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would have thought if you grew up on the back of the 2008. I mean, it affected Ireland. Was it more Republic of Ireland that it affected more rather than the north of Ireland?
Yeah, I think Republic was like one of the top 4 countries in the EU that was hit. Like, I think, one of the pigs countries. So,
well, the eye in the pigs is Italy, but
well, yeah, but it was one of the worst hit.
It was one of the worst. Yeah,
I think whenever Ireland asked the EU for money, the EU were like, no. So basically, we had to give them money instead.
Yeah, definitely. So the fact that your regulationism is only at 40% is a bit crazy.
I'm surprised there's such a big gap there, because I thought I would have more polarized opinions on it, but I don't know why it's such a big gap.
Again, we'll see if we can address these grey areas in a bit. But what else can we see? I like the fact that you're more revolutionist rather than reformist. Not. I mean, I didn't think I would be, but apparently I am. But I would thought I'd be more reformist. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. 45 versus 38.
I think sort of like, I wouldn't normally call for violence, but if you're sort of in a situation to where you literally cannot advance at all and there's no chance of ever making change, that's sort of your only option that's left.
Well, when diplomacy is impossible, violence is necessary. Wasn't that Gandhi or something that said that? So yeah, I do understand that, and I think again this comes down to a lot of the premises of the questions that were posed, and there was very little. I mean, we'll go through your results more before we get into that shit, but yeah, let's move on because we will talk about the premises of the questions. Constructivism versus essentialism. That's interesting. Talk to me about that.
To be honest, I'm not really too sure on what they mean by this section, but I must just favor essentialism a lot more whenever I was answering the questions.
Okay, fair enough. You just felt what you needed. I think it's. I mean, Cam, what do you think? Because Cam, you haven't spoken for a bit.
I found the results quite interesting. Especially the communist versus capitalist one. But I'm not entirely sure what constructivism versus essentialism is either. I've never heard of the test before I did this test.
I did have an idea earlier, but it's completely escaped my mind. And I will have an idea for you, whether it be right or not. I don't know. It could just be bullshit, but I think it's about making the existing economy work, or evolving the economy, and borrowing money to invest in a new economy further. That's what I think. Constructing a new economy to make it work for the future. I think this is probably linked into conservatism, maybe. But if you look at the essentialism and conservatism figures, they don't kind of match up. So probably that's bullshit. I don't know. I don't know. Guys in the side chat, tell us what you think on constructivism versus essentialism. What do you think?
No, I'm pretty surprised by the whole nationalism international one, because I thought I would be a good bit more nationalist than internationalist. So I don't know really why there's a wide gap there, but I'm surprised by that result.
Are you more surprised at the fact that your nationalism isn't higher, or are you surprised at the grey area?
I'm surprised that, well, kind of both, really. I'm surprised that there's such a big area and the nationalism isn't higher.
All right. Do you want to talk about the questions now?
All right.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. So, I didn't think it was, the original political compass test. Like if you Google political compass test, there is kind of one that everybody goes to, and that's the one that they post on their avatars and stuff. Like Miles has one on his avatar of his political compass test, and if you put political compass test in Google, it's the first one that comes up, right? I found those questions more kind of nuanced than what we had in this test. Okay. And my main reason is for saying this is because not only do you get more options, you get 5 options or 6 options, or you get more options anyway. Also, they are more specific and with more nuance than what these questions are. And so when you're asked the questions during this test, you're like, okay, but what about this? But what about that? And then so if in doubt, you just either hit the middle or you just hit the mildly agree or mildly disagree. Like it's just one of those things. So you try to think in ideal situations, or you just go neutral. Did you find that? Did you find yourself like, what the fuck is this question asking me?
Well, certainly, there are questions that I put neutral because it depends on the circumstance, or it wasn't that simple. The answers to it, maybe want a more complicated response answer than it says. So I have to pick neutral on a lot of them. This is why I have so big gaps, because that the possible answers I want I can give were adequate for me.
I didn't like the fact that it said no opinion versus opt out. Right, I didn't like the fact that they put that in the same option. You know, so what we can do is we can do a dry test run if you like, and then I suppose has everybody who's watching, right, all 11 people, right, if you have done the test or if you haven't done the test, click yes or no. If you want me to do it, click yes. Okay, so do you want me to do it again? Click yes. Otherwise just click yes. But yeah, that's far too complicated. But what did you guys think of the test anyway in the side chat? Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I know, Asim. I know you've done it. Everybody knows you've done it. But
wait, so did any of you get any of those traits at the bottom? These no traits, or is it just me that I got the Illuminati one?
Yeah, you're a part of the Illuminati, you Jewish bastard. Yes,
I'll be careful with that one.
What's my political compass? I'm deep southwest, mate. Deep southwest. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what the points are on my compass, but they're definitely. So. Hey, dude! Right, this Shafted. This was a running joke from something coming from earlier, actually. Apparently, according to who's that guy that got really famous online and then died tragically. Didn't die tragically, but died online tragically.
Total Biscuit.
No. The gay Jewish kind of promoted kiddie fiddling, that guy. He had the dodgy blonde hair and he was very camp. Milo, yeah.
Wait, is Milo died?
No, I don't. I think he meant like in terms of views and stuff.
Oh, all right.
Oh yeah. With regards to social media, he's dead. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Sorry, he didn't actually literally die. I meant him.
It took you to say blonde hair for me to catch on.
Yeah. I see that news. He actually joined UKIP the other day. No, we saw in the car and can't dank her.
Oh god.
Yeah. And then like you had I think it was UKIP reps saying, yeah, Sargon never actually joined. We don't know what he's on about.
No, he actually joined. He did a video showing it.
Really?
Yeah, he showed his UKIP membership card and everything.
Oh dear, right there.
He calls it a soft coup.
Oh dear. So we've got calls for another test from Thomas Williams. So shall we do the political.net test again, or shall we do the political compass test? So what do you think, guys, in the chat? Do you think political compass test, or do you think the other one that we were doing, the political scale.net or something, whatever it's called?
Oh, everyone knows about the political compass. If you do the political skills again, now you know.
The compass test.
About the negatives and the positives about doing the political skills test. It might get different results. Why I think anyway. And that we know a bit more what's let's say essentialism versus constructionism is. I think it's like nature versus nurture. So it'd be quite interesting to see.
I'm going to pull up this political compass test anyway, because let's have a look. Oh, there's only 4 in this one. Yeah, this is it. Oh, no, there's only 4. I was wrong. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Sargon is a moron. Nice one, Thomas. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen on this, and then I won't be able to watch the side chat. So, Cameron, can you check the side chat, and then we'll talk about this test?
Yeah, I'll check it.
All right, sweet. And call out anytime you want to talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Nice one. All right. Oh, this is the test that everybody does, like the political compass, right? If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Strongly agree. That was easy. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Strongly disagree. That was easy. No one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Don't know. Do you have an opinion on this? I don't like. I'm not really nationalist, so I kind of disagree with that. No, I kind of agree. I kind of agree. Like, no one chooses their country of birth. I don't give a fuck if someone is proud of their country, you know. So, all right. Our race has many. Oh, fuck off. Strongly disagree. The enemy of my enemy is a friend. Disagree. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Disagree. Cam, please speak up if you think that there's anything worth debating here, by the way.
Nothing so far.
Number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our race has many superior qualities compared to other races.
I said nothing so far.
Nothing so far. Sorry, mate. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment.
I think that's more addressing like fake news stuff. That's what I think.
Yeah. Maybe I could agree with that.
Oh, why? I mean, the news we get from the media is so ridiculous. It might as well be Tim.
Yeah, but I'm not going to extremely strongly agree with it, am I? Like, I'm not going to say all news is bullshit, because not all news is bullshit, because there are tokens of truth there somewhere.
Well, a bit of truth, but you can't expect to get to any much truth from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just take it as a laugh. I mean, that's how I watch InfoWars regularly. That's for the laugh.
Yeah, but you know that's bullshit before you've
yeah.
But if you're tuning into like BBC News or something, or Sky News, or for instance, Democracy Now, or
if I tune in to BBC or Sky News, I think that's bullshit as well.
Okay, so you would disagree with that? Because I'm stuck between disagree and agree.
I'll personally disagree.
All right. Okay. So can you ask the channel? Can you ask the people in the side chat whether they would like collaborative or just my views?
Yeah, no one's said anything yet on that.
Guys, in the side chat, would you like collaborative or like us all together? All right, we're gonna just keep on going. All right, I'll say disagree then. Okay, collaborative. Jack James, collaborative. You're the first one up. Collaborative. There we go, Thomas. Nice one. Okay, disagree then. Yes. No. Yeah. Cam, disagree.
I'll disagree.
Disagree. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one. Gerard, you're gonna have to speak up. By the way.
All right.
People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. Oh, now this is yeah.
Strongly.
Now this is the thing. Are they divided financially or by social constructs? So this is an interesting question. But yes, I agree, strongly agree on what you say. Because we have more in common that divides us, of course. So class comes into it more than ever. But if you're a right winger, then you would say nationality. Oh, fuck it. Let's just leave it. Strongly agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I'd agree with that.
I'll strongly agree because
okay,
controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Actually, no. I read that again. Right. I'd rather have low unemployment than have high inflation as a result. I mean, inflation is just a number. Like you can control it without having high unemployment. It's not hard.
Mm. Yeah, but when you have things like welfare payments, PIP payments, that kind of things that aren't controlled or that aren't connected to inflation, controlling inflation actually has a very real power over people's lives. So I think inflation over unemployment is definitely more important.
No, it's not.
Unemployment is going to go up anyway over the next 15, 20 years. So yeah, inflation is more important.
How is inflation more important to you? Because this is people's jobs. Inflation, anything goes up.
Yeah. Okay. So you need to control that inflation. So you need to keep prices at an affordable price. You need to keep bread at an affordable price. And go on. Sorry, Cam.
You have wages go up with it. It's quite simple.
If you're employed, what if you're not employed?
Well, then the methods need to be used. But we had high inflation in times of low employment. I think of the 1970s. So
we're heading towards that anyway. With technological unemployment, so we need to control inflation.
No, we don't because we can put wages up with inflation. If it's good, goes up.
But wages only go up, right, if you're employed. But unemployment will skyrocket over the next 5 to 10 to 20 years.
Yes, that depends what you do.
Okay, yeah, it does depend what you do. Okay, so if you work on a bus or a train or a lorry driver, or if you deliver anything at all, if you're a taxi driver, if you're working 99% of the service industries, essentially over the next 20 years, you are going to be unemployed, which makes up about 75% of the employment in the UK. So literally, I think inflation is something you need to control rather than unemployment.
All right, what's inflation?
What is inflation? It's an
Yeah.
arbitrary figure given by the Bank of England.
Exactly.
So controlling that, which is something that you can control.
So this arbitrary figure, this social construct that we created, is more important than giving people jobs.
Okay, so you'd rather create bullshit jobs?
Yes, I would. I would rather give people jobs. Yeah, I want provide jobs. There's always jobs to be done in society.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you rather do a job, right, rather than get paid? Say, like we've had UBI there, for instance, just been listed. Would you rather get paid a UBI, or would you rather get a job that you know in your heart of hearts is a fucking useless bullshit job?
Right. Most of them are, but the thing is,
so what would you rather do? Would you rather research history? Would you rather research history, right, and doing what you were put on this earth to do, or would you rather do a bullshit job that was created just to create unemployment?
Right, I want to use its history, but the point is,
well, no, it's not. No, that is exactly the point.
No, that's how things are now. Do you really think having high unemployment, people are going to be happy about that at all? Do you think like if you can't, let's say you like, I don't know, talking the phone on there, but someone might enjoy that, so they have the freedom to do it, or should they be turned away because no one is there to pay them? You see, there's someone saying, if you want to be, let's say a doctor, but someone says, "Oh, there's not enough place for doctors because we can't find enough jobs." That's the problem because now, because of automation and robots doing it. You see what I'm saying? People have a right to have a job, and people have a right not to.
Okay. So, but the problem is there are studies that actually say that people that are unemployed and that they feel that inflation is escaping them, that they can't afford to feed themselves, let alone their families. I feel that controlling inflation is more important than creating bullshit jobs where people get so depressed and suicidal.
But if it was up to me, I'd have created bullshit jobs. It'd be very different, very rewarding, very manufacturing, very jobs, basically.
Okay.
But the thing is about high inflation, you can control it. But the thing is, unemployment. This is if people aren't doing anything when they want to, it's good. When there's high employment, there's always very social evil. It's always happened. I mean, how high was unemployment in Germany before Nazis got in? Or in Russia before Russia.
Yeah, I know, but they also made a habit of creating bullshit jobs, jobs where people knew they weren't contributing to society, and they were literally wasting their lives just for the sake of employment, which again is pointless. It's pointless. It literally is. So don't you think that we are beyond that now, that we can actually become better than this? We are better than this. Of course. Okay. So I think controlling inflation is a part of that.
I disagree because inflation is an arbitrary number.
It is an arbitrary number. Granted. And unemployment isn't. Okay. And I agree with you on that. But I think you really are kind of unscrewing well, maybe I am actually unscrewing another can of worms in this, in saying that maybe unemployment shouldn't have such a societal burden that it actually has right now. But it's one of those things, you know. You tell someone that they're unemployed, they get really, really depressed because they feel that they're not contributing to society. They give them a job and they feel happy for a bit, but then they realize that they're just doing a bullshit job, you know, like rearranging paper clips, or, you know, being a box ticker, a gaffer taper, or a flak taker, or one of these certain job sectors that are created just for the sake of creating jobs, and they feel that their life is just as worthless, right? You give a person a UBI or a pension, say, hey, look, now you're retired, and their self-worth actually lifts up hugely. You know, it's these studies have been done time and time again, right? So like I say, I think controlling inflation rather than employment, and I suppose in tandem, you would have to take especially with today's technological revolutions that we're going through, you then have to take the emphasis from employment and put it onto other areas of society, onto how much you contribute to society, for instance.
No. Job satisfaction is another issue. The availability of good jobs is another issue. The issue is, should people be able to make a living out of jobs? That's another issue. People have a right to get a job. This is not rocket science.
I agree with you. I agree. I completely agree. So I'll go with whatever you say. So you strongly disagree, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll go with that. I mean, in the context of this question, I agree with what you're saying, but the externalities and nuances, I completely disagree. Let's have that on record, by the way. Those in the side chat. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulations. I strongly agree with that. Any disagreements?
No.
Gerard? Do you think corporations need to be regulated to protect the environment?
Yeah, because you leave them to their own devices and they're just going to instantly go to profit. I wouldn't trust them. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. I love this one. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. I'm going to leave this. I'm not going to have any opinion on this one. So I'm going to go with whatever you guys say. It's down to you two. Do you want me to repeat it? Can you see it on screen?
No, it's the Marx quote, isn't it? From each according to his ability. From what I understand from that quote, I could be entirely wrong here, but from what I understand of it, it's talking about more equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. I'm not sure if I'm right there. But if it is, I would go more for equality of opportunity. So probably disagree. That's just me though.
Cam?
I strongly agree.
Okay. Okay. Well, you're gonna have to do rock, paper, scissors, or something, and debate it out between yourselves. So I'm not, because I'm biased on this one. So that's a great debate you're getting into there. I love it. Nice one. I'm deafened by your silence. I think this is a Marx quote. Yes, you're right, Gerard. And yes, you are about a quality of opportunity, and it's all about. It doesn't matter your ability. It doesn't matter your everything that you have. Your position in society is that you're just as equal as everybody else. So I do strongly agree with it. I'm with Cameron. So do you mind if we just hit agree? Is that fine?
Go ahead.
Okay. It's a sad reflection on our society that someone as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded, and consumer products.
Strongly agree.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that as well. It is a sad reflection. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold.
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Oh, the left wingers are taking over. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Now, this
Strongly
is
agree.
strongly agree. This is an interesting question. This is with regards to the rentiers, which is something that came from the French Revolution. That people that just own land and they don't actually do anything. They just have, serfs. So they don't actually do anything with them. They have serfs that do it. And so because them personally, all they do is own land. They're not contributing anything to society. It's the serfs that do it for them. And, this entire rentier thing now in the 2010s coming up to 2020s has actually manifested itself into stuff like owning websites or owning digital rights, for instance. So it's the same thing. So you don't actually own anything and you don't actually produce anything, but you're able to charge a rent for it just for someone to use this software, for instance. I mean, how much does it cost to reproduce software? Like Windows, for instance. Like to reproduce this software, it doesn't cost anything. Like the manufacturing value of it is zero. It has zero cost. Yeah. Granted, there is some intellectual input, but I mean, how much is enough? People shouldn't be able to rent it off you. I mean, once you've had your fill, but I mean, putting a price on that is another matter. But yeah, next one. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. That's
agree.
Agree?
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Cam?
Agree.
Gerard?
Agree. I'll put strongly agree, but agree anyway.
The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Oh my God. No, I strongly disagree with that. No. Social responsibility. There we go. Social responsibility. Think about that phrase. And then compare it with profit to its shareholders. These two, this is almost an oxymoron, isn't it? Like, surely. I strongly disagree. Any disagreements there? Cameron?
Sorry, can we read that again?
The only social responsibility of a company. Hang on, should I zoom in on this?
It's a bit blurry, the text.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. Where are we? There we go. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders.
I strongly disagree.
Yeah,
I think it's sort of a badly worded question.
Well, it says social responsibility.
No, it's not that part I'm focusing on. It says should. So that's sort of putting your own opinion into it. I think it should be better that if the statement was the only social responsibility was to create a thing. I just think it's a badly worded question.
Granted. So what do you think anyway?
I think they're designed to make profit, but I don't think it should be their only responsibility.
It should be their only responsibility. But it's a social responsibility.
It's the it's the should there that's getting me, because I know that companies are designed to make profit, but whether they should be or not, those are two entirely different questions it's asking.
Okay, I understand the premise of how you reworded it, but the thing that I keep get hung up on is the social part, right? So that means it's a social responsibility. Okay, so that means it must be working towards a society within that company is working within, right? So no, I can't. It's not a social responsibility to deliver profits to its shareholders unless you believe in trickle down economics, which is complete fucking bullshit.
That, and in terms of, it's not the only responsibility. Our responsibility is to deliver goods and services to people who buy them. So I would say,
well, no. That's no. There's more to that, right? A social responsibility also means that you take care of the society around you. Also means you take care of the environment around you, right? You're taking a very, very hardcore right-wing capitalist view of saying.
It sort of depends what size the company is. That should also be stated. If you have like
Granted.
a small corner shop or a massive international corporation.
Okay, but how many small corner shops have shareholders?
Granted.
So, you have to be, to have your company on the stock exchange, you have to have a certain amount of customers. I think it's what the minimum is, like 1 million or something. So, it's to have shareholders, you have to have some kind of social responsibility. And I don't think it should be just to deliver profit to his shareholders. So I strongly disagree. Do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. Nothing else.
Sorry?
Nothing else to add.
No, nothing else. Okay. The rich are too highly taxed. Oh, strongly disagree with that.
Strongly disagree. We're all the tax, not taxed high enough.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Why do we have a tax, a cap on the highest tax? I have no idea. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care.
Strongly disagree.
Medical care should be the same across the board, right?
Yeah.
I need to ask a favor, Cameron.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could load up this quiz and start and do the same thing? Because I really need to jump off for a bit.
If you can remember.
That's all right. You can do it with Jared. I will be back, but not for a bit. Just give me time. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Well, we're only like 20 questions in. It won't take you long. Just to
Just it.
All right, Cameron, I'm sure you can do it, mate. You'll be fine.
Right. So, if economic globalization is inevitable, should it primarily serve humanity or the interests of transnational corporations? So, what does everyone think about that one? Because I strongly agree. I agree then. I'll always support my country, whether it's right or wrong.
I would disagree there, because like you wouldn't really support your country, say, if it was doing like a genocide in another country. Like, you wouldn't have such a fixed view. Like, I would say if you say strongly agree, that's sort of patriotism to the extreme.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I'll definitely disagree. I'll strongly disagree in that one. Nobody chooses his or her country of birth, so it's supposed to be proud of it. I strongly agree with that one.
I would strongly disagree because you can still be proud of a lot of things in your country. Like you may not choose it, but the country you do grow up in, you can still be proud of it.
Well, you can be proud of it, and you can be the opposite at the same time. But the key thing is, nobody chooses the country of birth, right? I mean, there are things to be proud of this country, yes, but there's things not to be proud of at the same time. So it's very I'll lean towards agree.
I would say disagree, but the cheer quiz.
All right, I agree. All races have superior qualities compared to other races.
I'd say other races have superior qualities compared to ours. Have you seen the Asians?
Well, you know what? All right, the superior race is the Bulgarians, obviously. Yeah, that's making nonsense. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I would disagree.
It really depends on the circumstances.
All right, so if you're FPB Romanian, would you consider Tony Blair to be a friend? Or David Cameron?
I was thinking more Axis power situation here with Japan, but I guess you would have sort of a better view of them than, say, a hardcore Lever.
Well, Japan and Germany have no real reason to quarrel with each other, even if they won the war. Yeah, I would disagree.
I would say it mainly depends on the context.
But if it's I suppose it could. I would agree. Military action that defies international laws is sometimes justified.
That is, every time I've done this quiz, that is always the one I've got stuck on.
But
I'm very 50-50 on it.
The first thing that comes to mind is Iraq when I think that.
I would think more, say, if a country, right, it's going to be hard not to draw comparisons to Iraq here, but if a country is in sort of, like, in complete turmoil, like, think of just like Rwanda or something like that, then I think it could be, even though it's not justified under international law, you could still have a country come in to try and be a buffer between the two sides. But then again, I guess that's what the UN peacekeeping forces are for.
Well, they failed at in Rwanda.
Yeah.
I suppose, but yeah, I would agree actually, because I'll let the countries do what they want in terms of the policies. I mean,
yeah, I can really see both sides. That's why I'm always like 50-50 on this one.
I can see that point. Well, so in most cases, when we need to actually define international law, it makes things worse.
Yeah, like how the US went into Iraq. Just let's be honest, it was for oil.
Oh yes, it was. What's Iraq? Grenada. That's another one where they went into.
They went into Libya for mainly domination on the resources it has. So yeah,
Libya is the second most. That's the second biggest oil reserves in the world. The probably lose it.
Oh yeah, like I remember reading an article and it said like if you divided like the oil amount among every person in the country and then like turn it into cash, everybody would be a billionaire.
Yeah, that's the thing that Gaddafi failed to do in Libya. Which, if he did it, Libya probably one of the richest countries in the world.
He'd probably still be alive if he's lucky.
Well, I'm not too sure. He will piss everybody off, getting rid of the petrodollar. Like Gaddafi wanted the United States of Africa.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he campaigned like for African Union. So what should we put in this question then?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I can see why it could be hard, but I'm leaning towards disagree.
I've always got stuck on this one, so either one would really do.
Alright, I'll just pick one and move on. There's a growing fusion of information and entertainment.
I would probably put agree.
I'll put disagree.
Like, I think I wouldn't say it's a worrying fusion, but I would say it's sort of something that's starting to happen. To where you probably, even if you look at like CNN and BBC and all that stuff, you could say that since they have been getting lower and lower viewers each year because of people reading stuff online, you could say they're more trying to be more flashy and more tabloidy with their news and probably less investigative with it, just to try and entertain people so they don't end up leaving.
I suppose, but I never thought CNN would produce any credible information. This is why I need to disagree because I don't really respect those news channels to provide adequate information. No, I like to call the CNN the Clinton News Network, but
I saw that at the time of the election. Well, there is some truth to that because, like, the parent company of CNN, like the guy that runs that, did, funny enough, donate to Hillary. Like, he did do massive donations to Hillary, and funny enough, after that, they conveniently just started changing their narrative to less, I would say, less neutral and more just anti-Trump, whatever they can.
Yeah, I suppose I could put agree because if he's getting entertainment and no information, I mean, you just can watch Infowars for that. It could be a problem, but I think the information they get from the news is not really respectable at this point or accurate.
I would say it depends on where you get it from as well.
I suppose, yeah. I suppose I could put agree for the compass test, but I'll usually lead to disagree.
Okay.
People are ultimately more divided by class than nationality.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Now, this, of course, earlier created a bit of discussion, but I stand by my position. I think controlling unemployment is better to do. They actually have a choice not to have a job or not, even if it's satisfactory or not.
Yeah, I'd say control unemployment's better because, like, even if you control inflation, you're not going to have many people in the job force to really make money for the economy. So, yeah. I would say control unemployment's more important.
I disagree on that one. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I'll strongly agree.
Yeah, strongly agree.
From each according to its ability, to its current its need, is a fundamentally good idea. Of course, as I said before, this is a quote from Marx, and I would agree with it.
I'd put agree, and just I would put it in a pretty loose sense, but I would say it depends on context as well. But yeah,
It's a self-reflection on our society, where something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded as consumer products. I would strongly agree.
yep, because it's like it's a natural thing of the earth. Like you would hardly start doing the same to like I don't know. You'd hardly start bottling air all of a sudden and try and sell it off for like $2.50 a bottle.
Well, I already heard that's what the Tories are to privatize. They're to privatize the atmosphere. In terms of that, a couple of years ago, trying to remember what it's called now, when Coca-Cola tried to launch a product in UK, they call it spring water, but it's actually tap water.
Oh yeah, like that's a lot of things. You find that they say, you know, they get it from the highest mountain tops and the clearest thing and all this here. They probably just get it from the top, and then they bottle it and just make it for profit.
Yeah. Land should not be a commodity bought and sold. Now, I would strongly agree with that one. If it's not property, but it's the land itself, it's not agricultural land, I would agree.
See, I'm not against actually like people, you know, buying their own land and stuff if they can afford it. But I do think everybody should sort of have housing, but I'm not against people buying land.
Well, the reason I'm becoming against it is because I'm not talking about some brownfield site or some fields that you go wheat on. I'm talking about some actually lands occupied by wildlife, so like woods and forests, marshes and things like that. That's what I'm against buying. So if you let
Or
someone say,
you're on about more like people owning like natural areas and all that stuff.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay. I was thinking more, you know, houses, properties, and all that stuff. Not really.
Well, if
natural
it's all
area.
about properties, it should specifically say properties
Yeah,
or private property.
I
Not
would
land.
sort of be against doing it to like natural land because I think the Native Americans they sort of had underlying thing to where they showed like the settlers that came in from England and they didn't understand the concept of borders because their whole philosophy was this land was here a long time before you, it's going to be here a long time after you, so what's the whole point of putting fences around it?
Yeah, the thing is that Native Americans, like 90% of them were killed by disease, which is why what happened because most of the land was actually empty.
Yeah, but it's partly sort of their philosophy of what's the point of everybody owning pieces of land or well natural land when it's really more belongs to the earth. So I would say more if you're talking like houses and stuff like that, I have no problem with people buying and selling them. It's just I guess I would be more against it when you're trying to do it to more natural land.
That's what I think it's more like natural land. If it was about like houses, it was private property.
All right.
So I should put agree.
Yeah, I would agree.
It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. So I strongly agree.
Strongly agree. We have Big Boy Swiss in here.
Evening, gents.
Evening.
Where's Mr. Gimbap?
He'll be back shortly, I think.
Oh, I see. Oh, he's doing the political compass test.
Yeah. So protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. So what do y'all think about this one? Because I would agree.
I'd probably also put agree. Yeah. Especially because it's a vague enough statement, you know, is sometimes necessary. It's like, yeah, of course, you know, sometimes, sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
In the side chat, Bubble Visit just said Swiss the Nationalist is in the house. Yeah, this is a new thing. Ever since a stream I did the other day, now I'm a a mouth frothing nationalist apparently.
Well, you're an ethno-nationalist.
Oh, that's what the milk's been about all this time. The clue's been hiding in plain sight.
We should go back through all of Swiss's old videos to see if he does any subliminal okay signs for white power.
I mean, I did have a skinhead for a few months. I'm sure if we were going to put together like a conspiracy theory video joining the dots, there'd probably be ample enough evidence.
The social responsibility of a company is to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I'll disagree.
What would you say the other social responsibilities?
They have a responsibility to the workers and to the environment.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say that
I'd agree.
So you would agree with this then?
Oh no, I disagree.
All right. The rich are too highly taxed.
I'd say strongly disagree.
Yeah, I'll strongly disagree on that one. They're not taxed enough.
I also, yeah, go on.
Those with the ability to pay should have access to high standards of medical care. I'll strongly disagree.
See, I more take probably the Swiss point of view to where I think it should. I think not the Swiss country, but yeah. But if it's optional and it's not really shoved down your throat, I guess I don't really have much of a problem with it. But if you start changing all up the whole NHS to where whenever you see a doctor, they say, "Give me 50 quid," then yeah, I would sort of be against that. But I think in terms of if it's just optional and you don't really have to go for it, then yeah.
But then I could say, why should the wealthy pay for better healthcare than everybody else?
Well, think of it this way, though. If you've got the wealthy going off and paying for their fancy healthcare with Bupa or whatever else, that does free up strain on the NHS for the rest of us.
I suppose, but the problem is that if there's an emergency, it actually gets sent to the NHS hospital.
Yeah, I think we've just got to look at the alternative, though, which is to say, okay, then let's just ban all private healthcare. And I think certainly we need to prioritize the National Health Service to make sure that, you know, it's delivering the treatment it needs for people. But I don't see what the point in banning all privatized healthcare would be, to be honest, provided it's not like the primary option.
I put disagree. Even right.
Oh well, I mean, you put whatever you like.
I put agree, even though I strongly disagree with that.
Who's answering this quiz, by the way? Is it like for a particular person or?
No, it's for everyone else on the stream, basically.
Oh, we're doing like an amalgamation of where we all stand on it then. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Governments should penalise businesses that mislead the public.
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
In the words of Boris Johnson, fuck business.
A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predatory multinationals to create monopolies. I strongly agree.
Yeah, I'd say same.
I'd agree, but averages to a strongly agree anyway, doesn't it?
The free the market, the free the people.
Strongly agree. Time to reveal myself as a secret ANCAP.
I'll disagree.
I mean, there's not guarantees of it. It used to be the mindset, wasn't it, that you had the capitalist countries battling out the communist countries, and as you brought capitalism to countries, you'd bring freedom along with it. But then more recently, you've got countries like China, which have opened their markets up, but they still don't have an awful lot of human rights anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, China's a bit different. No.
I don't know then.
My position is that it's a bit of a delusion that if a free market, free the people. When you have a free market, you always have people who have basically next to nothing. And when you have next to no money, are you truly free?
That's a fair, yeah. I mean, there's the whole argument of, you know, in a sort of a free market situation, you have people tied into wage slavery, etc. But once more, I'd probably say, well, what's the alternative then? If the alternative is, I don't know, some kind of a communist system of doing things or something, the people could be freer, but then again, they might be in a gulag. I don't know. I'm probably neutral on this one, to be honest.
What do you think, Gerald, on this one?
I'm more neutral, but again, I would say sort of circumstantial and how. Well, no. I will be slightly like leaning. I'd be 50-50, but more slightly sort of lean towards agree, like 55-45 split. So,
I go with agreed. Abortion or a woman's life is not threatened should be always illegal.
Strongly disagree. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Abortion, the one that says women can have abortions, basically. So strongly disagree.
I would strongly disagree as well. And Joe, what's your view on this?
I would more just have disagree, but you know, averages. So just put it strongly.
All authority should be questioned. I'll strongly agree with this.
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
Say disagree.
Oh,
I would agree with that one. I agree with you, not with this.
Yeah, go for disagree. The averages anyway. I'm a bit torn on that one.
Because I remember hearing before, you know, if somebody rapes you, you don't go and rape them back.
Like, I don't know. The punishment fits the crime, you know.
But well, you do go to jail, so
yeah, and then you'll get raped anyway. So it has a way of working itself out, really, doesn't it?
Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theatres or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis.
Fair back.
See, I'll strongly disagree with that one.
I would also strongly disagree with that one. I think screw it if they're not surviving on a commercial basis. Things like, I mean, I'm not as fussed about theatres, but museums, yeah, there's a lot of cool shit in museums.
Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory.
I'm probably going to disagree with that one.
I'm gonna agree with it.
Oh shit!
Alternatives should just homeschooling. Out there that is available, and people should be free to do it.
Well, there's the option for people to be like homeschooled, isn't there? You can either go to school or be homeschooled. I mean, I think it was in the news a little while ago. You remember the case of the family that wanted to take their kids on holiday during term time, and they were like, you know, there was a ruling in the court, and it was like, no, you're not allowed to do that. I was against that. I'm in favor of families saying, fuck it, if we want to go on holiday, we can. But I just think generally it's like, yeah, kids ought to go to school. Although I guess then I'd probably disagree, wouldn't I? I'd probably have to. No, I'd agree. Shit, which is the one you said, Cameron? The one that says they shouldn't have to. Yeah, I'd probably have to go for that one then, because as far as I was concerned on the whole holidays issue, I was like, fuck it, let them go on holiday. So I guess I'm on the same side as you.
All people have their rights, but it's not better for all of us that have different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. So this is like should we have ethnicity and groups of people should stay in their own countries?
Oh, and keep all the centrists in London.
Oh, of course.
No, I think things are probably generally better as a bit of a mixing pot, aren't they?
Yeah, strongly disagree in that one. Sometimes good parents have to spank their children.
I'd agree with that. I was spanked a couple of times as a kid, and I didn't turn out too badly.
I'll disagree.
Oh,
that's what you think. Oh, John dear.
Champchi, welcome back. Oh, and he's gone again. We needed a tie break then.
Yeah. You say you weren't affected as a child, but you know, I've been doing some psychological analysis on you, saying that you've got monogamy fetish.
I have a monogamy fetish.
Yeah, apparently so. So you become overwhelmingly attached to one person.
Is that so?
I don't know. I've no clue. I was just bullshitting you. How you doing? Well, anyway, it's been a while.
Not too bad, thank you, man. You need to tie break us on this one then, because I said agree and Cameron said need to.
Yeah, okay. You need to like narrow it down. What question you're looking at?
Oh, good parents sometimes have to spank their children.
I'm of the opinion that spanking is used by parents that lack imagination.
What are you saying about my mum?
I'm saying that she okay, so the problem with this, the entire again, this comes down with the premise of the entire question that you know, that good parents, so all good parents, okay, no matter what the circumstances, never smack their children. So the premise of the question is entirely wrong, right? So now normally parents that smack their children usually don't have the time or the energy to actually discipline their children properly. Now, if you look at parenting, especially recently, obviously, hasn't spanking been made illegal or something?
It has been in Wales, I think, either in Wales or Scotland. One of the parts of the UK, they were either they passed the law or they're considering it.
So it's one of those things where there is generally, when you look at families that don't spank their children, you're looking at families that are very well established. They have a stay-at-home mum, they have a very well-to-do father that's able to provide. But obviously in the mass kind of societal or economical societal strains that are put on parents today, they're not able to do that. So you're having like two parents having to go out to work, and kids are brought up by the TV, so they learn loads of bad habits. They're brought up by MTV or YouTube now, I suppose, with no parental guards, and you know what kind of shit goes on in YouTube, man. Or whatever, you're able to link in. I mean, most like 12, 13-year-olds now are more technically savvy than most 35 or 40-year-olds. So they can access parts of the internet that are completely weird and fucked up. So I think that because they've got no one to say, oh, that this is wrong or no, because there's no parent in the house, they're being brought up by these lessons, they're being brought up by these things. When the child goes off the wire and, you know, hits their sister with a frying pan, for instance, because they saw it on the video.
What household did you grow up in, Champtree?
Dude, you have no, dude. This is a whole nother can of worms. But my point being is that when this kid has been brought up by the internet then hits his sister around the head with a frying pan because he thought it would be funny, and you know, caught it on video with his smartphone. And then the mum comes up to him, slaps her on the head and says, no, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. There's no, because she doesn't have the ability or the time or the energy, because she's so tired from work and father's never around because he's always out of work. You know, it's one of these things. Okay. So good parents sometimes have to spank their children. No, good parents never should spank their children.
Well, I would see it as the inverse though, just to go, okay, does that therefore mean that anyone who ever does spank their children is therefore a bad parent? And so that I would say no. I would say it doesn't necessarily make them a bad parent just as a single result of that. However, you and Cameron are in the majority here, so you get disagree.
Okay, and what I would say is, like I say, is that parents that do spank their children, either they lack the time and energy to spend time with their children, which is essential to bring up a child, which is put forward through social economic pressures, right? Aside from that, if there are stay-at-home mums that do spank their children, then I would say they are bad parents. Okay, so to put a pin in the dirt, if you like. So yeah, that's what I think. Dealing with children from 4 or 5 years old all the way up to 16 years old. Does that make sense, or do you need me to clarify?
No, that makes perfect sense. I disagree with it, but I completely understand it.
Disagree with me then. I mean, this is what it's all about. I mean, I never shy away from a debate. So tell me, how and why do you disagree? Are you disagreeing with me from a personal point of view?
Well, I was going to say, first of all,
do you have many kids?
Sorry.
Do you have many kids?
I have 0 kids.
Okay. Do you look after many kids? Do you spend time around kids often?
No, I do not.
But my point of your evidence from any studies?
I'm feeling awfully interrogated here. Allow me to put forward my reasons for disagreeing, and then you can cross-examine me. I was going to say, first of all, when you talk about the socio-economic impacts and the idea of whether it's a stay-at-home mum or not, as far as I'm aware, I don't know where that comes into the question, because the question is simply about whether or not parents spanking their kids is okay or not. I'm sure that across the many families that exist out there, there are single parent households, double parent households, gay adopted parents, grandparents looking after children, all sorts of things. And within all of those categories, you'll have those who spank their kids and those who don't. So I'm not aware of it only being a specific demographic.
Okay, let me address that one specific point. Seeing as you nailed it down. Generally, or what I've noticed is that discipline seems to be less within family households where parents or smacking seems to be more prevalent within parental households where the parents do not have the time or energy to discipline their children properly, and smacking is a shortcut. Does that make more sense?
Yes, I understand where you're coming from with that, and I would agree that probably in some circumstances that is the case. Perhaps even in a majority of circumstances that's the case, but not in all circumstances. Of course. I am talking like
anecdotally. So I mean, it's just my personal experience from what I've noticed from being.
No, that's fine. That probably just sums up the dividing point on the question, though, because the way I interpret the question, when I flipped it on its inverse, it was basically to say you cannot be a good parent if you spank your kid. And I thought, no, I don't see that as the only, major factor of judgment there.
Oh, of course. I mean, there are kids I've taught, and the bottom line, I've just thought, oh, fuck's sake, you just need a fucking slap, man.
Exactly.
You've all met those kids. Everybody's met those kids. They're like running around the estates, just doing whatever they like or whatever. I just think there are better ways to do it. But to label a parent as a bad parent because they smack their kids, I think is a bit short-sighted.
I will agree with you there, though. I will agree with you there and say there are better ways to do it. Spanking or smacking or whatever, I think, should absolutely be a last resort of any parent. It should not be the like you say, like a shortcut or something. I think if it is used as a shortcut, then it is bad parenting.
Yeah. Cool, man. Rock and roll. So what was the decision?
The decision was majority said disagree. So yeah, so it's as it stands.
As it stands. Okay, cool. Next question.
It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents.
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Web browsing history. You're not going to be showing that to mum and dad.
What was it? There was a famous last words to your best friend. Make sure you clear my browsing history.
Wipe it all. Wipe it all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course it is. Having secrets from your parents, of course. If you can have secrets between your siblings, and your like between your siblings, so you have that camaraderie between your siblings and not your parents. That's brilliant. I've seen my little brothers grow up like that, and they're thick as thieves now. So yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, definitely. Next question.
Processing marijuana, pills of use should not be a criminal offense.
Strongly disagree. Damn that devil weed.
You bloody degenerates. What would Peter Hitchens say?
Strongly agree.
Yeah, strongly agree.
Good. Good.
You clicked strongly disagree.
Honestly, the prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs.
Bollocks.
Strongly disagree.
Strongly
disagree.
The primary function of schooling is to equip children how to think critically and in logic and language interpretation, problem solving, and to kind of work out how to deal with things themselves and to understand the world around them. Well, that's my view of education as a teacher. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd probably second that. I'd say that education ought to be about equipping you with tools for life, not just specifically tools for jobs, but just generally what you need to know.
Actually, this came up in my conspiracy theory cast a few weeks ago, and I was very privileged to have such minds as Scott Bowers. Cameron was there talking about aliens and obviously angels, and it was a really great cast where we talked about things like education, and that was one of my points actually. One of my conspiracies that people were being indoctrinated to work in jobs as employees rather than to be employers or to do whatever they wanted to be. So yeah, that was my conspiracy. So I thought that was quite a cool question. Next question.
People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce.
Fuck off.
Disagree.
Disagree.
Or strongly.
Yeah.
I would not be given the state the power to decide who lives or who dies.
That's
yeah.
What was the Nazis? You know, where they decide on whether
eugenics, wasn't it?
Eugenics. Yeah, that's it. That's what I was thinking.
It was actually the Americans who started that, not the Nazis.
Mm.
Yeah, I had a huge debate with my Scottish friend on Discord about that the other day.
That's a horrible idea. Eugenics is absolutely fucking nasty.
It's a no.
Yeah, it's right up there with vivisection, man. It's just like fucking shit. Anyway, next.
the most important thing for children is to learn to accept discipline.
No, can strongly disagree.
I would strongly disagree as well.
I'd disagree. I wouldn't say it's the most important thing.
Well, like inversely. Yeah, I strongly disagree. I don't understand where there's any grey matter there.
Any grey matter?
Okay.
Any grey area?
Any grey area. The most right. Check out the wording of the question. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I mean, that's like fucking work camp, fucking military camp style. If you're going to join the military, fair enough. But schooling isn't a military camp, is it?
Go on then. Put strongly disagree.
I'm sorry, I'm picking holes in every time you answer, like Captain Swiss. Go on, next one.
There are no savage or civilized peoples, only different cultures.
I think this question is entirely subjective, down to the wording.
I would strongly agree. I mean, there's no savage cultures. There's only cultures that we don't understand.
Wait. If you go to Papua New Guinea, and let's say you're on a plane and you crash in the middle of the jungle, the first people you'll find are undiscovered tribe of cannibals. What do you call them? Savages?
I think if you can't call them savages, who can you call savages?
Oh, I call it savages.
Trump supporters?
No.
I get the idea that there's obviously a sense of like the Western culture kind of seeing itself as bigger and better than everybody else out there. I don't think that sort of intrinsically we ought to say, oh yeah, we're miles ahead of you just because you're different. But I do think that, like, if you were to grade the various civilizations and cultures out there in the world on the way they treat women, on human rights, on all things along that, there are certainly cultures I deem to be more civilized than others.
I think it's quite short-sighted to say that they're more cultured. I think it would be more of an educational point of view. So it's a bit kind of hedonistic to say that you're better than somebody else, and I think it's quite rude as well.
Well, I'd say it's not. I wouldn't say it's hedonistic. I'd say it's pragmatic, and I wouldn't say that I'm better than anybody else. I'd say that.
But you basically just said you did.
No. I'd say it's preferable. I'd say, if you had a choice between two societies to live in, one where there's a common respect for human rights and one where they chop people's hands off for the smallest crimes, you'd probably opt to live in the society where people treated each other nicely.
Okay. Granted, I'll agree with that. But there's a difference in saying that these people are savage and treating them as savages, which I think I get connotations of kind of wild beasts. Kind of untamed, like wild bears or wolves or tigers or lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, that kind of shit,
No, I agree that I certainly wouldn't seek to dehumanize anybody, regardless of what their culture
Well,
is.
this is what I'm trying to say. Well, if everybody's human, then you can say, okay, well, you do this. Well, this is what we do in our culture. What we do is we find cultures like yours, we arm you to the teeth, and then we allow it, you know, through diplomacy. But anyway, that's another thing for the Tories. What we do, what normal person would do is say, okay, so you cut people's hands off, you throw gays off a building or whatever. This is not the way we should do. Look, you know, these are still human beings. We're still the same. We still look the same. We still bleed the same. We still have the same anatomy, and it's surely through education that we do this. So I think it is. I don't think there are savages. It's just a level of education. I don't.
How do we? Go on. Sorry. How do we answer the question then? Because do we need to average out what the answers are? Is it? I think Cameron had said this is like a collective quiz, so we sort of do the amalgamation.
Yeah, it is.
I would look to agree to that one.
Well, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, go on, stick and agree down. I think that's the average.
Get Gerard is being very quiet. I told you, Gerard, to speak up, mate.
Come on, Gerard. Tell me how much you hate the savages.
Right. If we're talking uncivilized here, it depends sort of what you define as uncivilized.
Trump supporters.
With that question, I would more look at, say, the human rights records of countries, if anything. So if you look at even Saudi Arabia, Iran, I wouldn't say Iraq anymore as much, or even as Cameron said, Papua New Guinea, you do seem to have people who are more savage than others, though I'm not sure if you could really put it down to one culture, though I do think there are certain groups of people that are more savage than others.
There's an interesting point that I'm not sure whether you meant to touch on it, but I think is quite interesting, is that when we look at societies such as Saudi Arabia, they are supposed to be quite enlightened. Well, what we would say is enlightened, westernized, right? But they are not. They are quite savage in the way they deal with things like, you know, female adultery. They are very savage when it comes to you know, kind of homosexuality. You know, this is where the savagery comes in. Yet they are very modern. You know, if you go to Saudi Arabia and places in the UAE, they are very, very, very modern. You know, so what actually makes a society savage? I think Cameron made the point that if you go to, you know, a very outreaching place in Papua New Guinea or something, and you know, these people have never witnessed Western society, let alone experienced it, it's very, very different to having a society that's very modernized, such as, you know, places like Dubai or Saudi Arabia or Qatar. You know, it's very, very different. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, yet they still are engaged in these what we would call savage practices. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but
there's a very different comparison.
I would still judge them more on their human rights records than how flashy their cities look, or how great their healthcare is.
Yeah, granted, totally. But I think you misunderstand my comparison. The reason why I made the comparison is because the guys in the outback of Papua New Guinea that have, you know, in the arse end of the fucking Pacific don't know any different. Whereas the guys in the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai, they do know different. They do know how we do it, right? And yet they failed to change. That's the difference. So who are the savages? The guys in Papua New Guinea or these guys in Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Dubai? Who are the savages then?
It depends on the circumstance. I mean, I might
Did not just lay out circumstances.
Yeah, it did, but why I bring up Papua Guinea? Because it has a reputation of having cannibals in it. Now, if you got attacked by cannibals,
granted,
savages.
But you know, it's you did put the goalposts out really wide. You know, I was just trying to bring in the goalpost quite narrower to something that we could understand. You know? That's all I was doing, is just, you know, narrowing the debate. That's all.
So we still agree with that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Next question.
Those who are able to work and refuse opportunity should not expect society's support. I strongly disagree.
Hang on. One more time. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support.
So basically, if you don't put anything in, you shouldn't get anything out. That's the.
I disagree. Strongly disagree, in fact.
Everybody else as well?
This is a very left-wing thing, so
it's an incredibly left-wing thing. Yeah, those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I mean, I think, like, you know, when we hear about, you know, benefit scroungers in the right-wing press and that sort of thing, and how they, you know, how they obviously blow it up to be a far bigger issue than it actually is. I think in that sense, the demonizing of people on benefits is no good for anybody. But I certainly do think there's a handful of people I've known in my lifetime who've basically said, "Oh, no, I'm not going to get a job. I'm just going to sit on the dole. That's my plan, basically." And I do just kind of think that's a bit screwed, though. Really, there are other people out there, you know, getting jobs and paying taxes into the big pot that fund the NHS and all the rest of it, and you're just going to get the free handout, are you? It's not cool.
But you're talking about, you know, what was it, 0.03% of the.
Oh, indeed. But the question therefore must apply to the 0.03%.
Of course,
it says those who are not able to work and refuse the opportunity.
Of course, and then the flip side is that you end up creating bullshit jobs, and you end up creating, you know, 0 hours contracts, a gig economy where you have to take any job that's available, and even if you are getting screwed royally because you have no rights, no holiday rights, no sick pay, no paid leave, especially in the care industries, especially in the industries, social care industries, you know, and these are the people that don't get support and that are not registered as working as well, you know, that are looking after that are unpaid support workers, that are volunteers, that are people that create art. You know, you're really choking off this entire fucking part of society.
But in the examples you've given, though, I'd say, as far as the question goes, those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity, if it's someone making art and working on artwork and they plan to try and sell it or put it up in museums or whatever, then I'd say they are working. If it's a person who's caring for a family member and not getting paid for it, then I'd say they don't fall under the category of those who are able to work because they're busy. They literally cannot work. So in that sense, they should expect society support. Just purely on the basis of the question, those who are able to work but refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. I do kind of think, well, yeah, contribute something at least.
Okay, go on, Cam.
Let me say something that I did last week. I got a job interview. I went. It was successful, but I refused the job. Now, should I have the right to do that?
I think so. I think you should have the ability to refuse a job, but the balance is all wrong. There should be it should be an an employee's workplace, right? So it shouldn't be a low skill, low wage economy. It should be a high skill, high wage economy. And the problem is the society that we have now, or the society that we have in England, is that we have a low wage, low skill economy. And with austerity and the DWP doing what it can to stiff anybody out of any benefits whatsoever, is that if you are offered a job, you have to take it, because the society will not support you. You know, any time that I was on dole, and I've only ever claimed for about, I think in total over, well, since I was working age, so that's about 20 years, 22 years, about 6 months worth. I was told that you have experience, you have qualifications, and you are not expected to take a job that is beyond your pay grade, you know, or sorry, under your pay grade. But something changed in the meantime. And now you're expected to take any job that's going whatsoever, even if it's a gig economy job or a 0 hours contract, you know. So you have people being laid off, right? Saying, "Oh yeah, you're getting made redundant, right? But you're not going to get a golden handshake." And then they go back to the job. They go to the job center a week later. They give them back the same job, but at a 0 hours contract, you know. And this is the kind of thing that's got going. And workfare is another thing that's, you know, really depressing this entire fucking idea of you know, employee employer power. So what they'll do is they'll get made redundant from a full-time cashier at Poundland, for instance. Poundland is a very specific example, by the way. They get made redundant, and then they'll go on the dole on JSA, get put on workfare, and then have to do the same job that they did before, where they were on full-time wages, but instead have to do it for JSA wages, where Poundland aren't actually paying anything. So they're doing a full-time job for their 127 quid every 2 weeks, you know. This is fucking stupid. So like if you do strongly agree with this question, it does head in very dangerous directions. And you can just read on case studies on this, and this austerity Tory government has proved it. That's my point. I'm finished.
That's fine. I wouldn't say I strongly agree with it. I'd just say I agree with it. I agree with the principle behind it. I think what you're speaking about is the reality of the Conservatives' application of this notion. But as far as the principle goes, because you know, the political compass test is just a set of principles at the end of the day.
Yeah. But this is, I try to, when doing these tests, I try to steer away from, you know, ideals or ideologies that can steer into very dangerous circumstances. And just this one ideal can lead to very dangerous circumstances. And it's just this one thing, just this one question has led to people's deaths, you know.
How did you answer on the to each according to his ability, to each according to his needs question?
How do you think I answered?
Well, surely that can lead to some very dodgy things and a lot of people dying under certain circumstances.
Yeah, but that's a lot wider field of understanding rather than.
Anyway, I think you've got the majority on side for that one anyway.
Okay, cool. Gerard, you're still being very quiet.
Again, I would go with Swiss. I agree more with the principle, though I don't know if it actually works in reality.
Yeah, that's I suppose the premise of the question is very.
So keep I disagree.
Disagree. Yeah. Disagree. I think it's quite.
It's split 50-50 on this one.
Yeah, it is quite, isn't it? Yeah.
I think that given that Champchi strongly disagrees, that does counterbalance it enough into a disagree.
Right. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things.
This is a depression and a social care question, I think.
Strongly agree. I'd say. I think that if you're troubled and you constantly keep thinking about it, that's just a pit you're going to fall into. There, you want to avoid the pit.
I would agree. I think
I would agree as well.
I would say disagree. Because I think that, if you keep avoiding it, at some point it's eventually going to come back worse than it originally was before. It's sort of you're just trying to, I don't know how to phrase it, but you're just sort of you're delaying the inevitable. That's it.
Well,
yeah.
I do agree with that. But if you're just talking about, just a mental health issue, like plainly, just like depression, I do suffer from depression from time to time, and what really helps me is actually getting out and doing things and exercising, for instance, and it's scientifically proven to help because it gets the endorphins, the same thing you like when you eat chocolate and spend money, the same drug like runs around your head, so it helps you. But the problem is if you're very, very clinically depressed, is you tend to close yourself off, spend all your time in bed, and then it creates a self-defeating cycle, and then you just don't go anywhere for days, and end up sleeping yourself and drinking yourself into a crazy stupor.
I guess there's probably... Oh, sorry.
I'm not saying don't do the good things. I'm just saying don't be trying to avoid thinking about it completely, because I think that can lead to damages later on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a useful distinction between things that trouble you that you are able to do something about, and things that trouble you that you aren't able to do something about. And certainly the ones that you have no control over, I think it is best to take those out of your mind, because it won't do you any good pondering on it. But the stuff you can change, of course, do something about it. But I think we average out to an agree on that. I think I was strongly agree. Gerard was disagreeing. The two of you were agree. Is that right?
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
Yep. Next question.
First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated into their new country.
Oh, those bloody Vikings.
Those bloody blackies coming over here.
First generation. Oh no, I strongly disagree. I'll disagree. I'll be pragmatic.
Yeah. What about everyone else?
I disagree. Because the statement basically says all first generation immigrants can never be fully integrated with their new country. And I don't think that's the case. I think there are certainly some problems that exist with immigration and integration, but to say that nobody who arrives in a country can ever truly belong to the country they've arrived at sounds like nonsense to me.
What's good for the most successful corporations is always good, ultimately, for the good of all of us.
Strongly disagree. Yeah.
Do you have to ask? Like, really?
No broadcasting institution have independent content should receive public funding.
Fuck the BBC. Get rid of it. Scrap it. No, I believe in public broadcasters. I don't particularly like the one we've got at the moment, but the concept of it I like.
As reluctant agree. I agree to the principle, but not the BBC.
Yeah. I agree with the principle again. And if we put aside the right-wing bias and the Remain bias that we have in the BBC, right wing, Tory bias, I suppose. Blatantly backing conservatives. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, so if we put aside all that and we look at the services that the BBC has actually done through the First and the Second World War, I think overall, I think they've done a really, really good job with their world service. The BBC, I think it was brilliant. Not so much now, but was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I agree, definitely, especially during the First and Second World War.
So that's I'll go with, I'll say agree then.
Yeah.
All civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counter-terrorism. Strongly agree.
What? Civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of... Oh, strongly disagree. Oh, no, sorry, hang on. No, this is actually having now. It's actually being done. So, yeah, strongly agree.
Yeah, I'd strongly agree as well. Which is weird because when I did my quiz yesterday, I think I answered kind of the opposite on a slightly different question. It said something like, it's sometimes necessary to have limits on your liberty to fight counter-terrorism. I was like, well, yeah, it is necessary, but it doesn't also mean that they haven't been excessively curbed.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that question on that random test. Next question.
A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Those bloody Remainers trying to scupper Brexit.
I do love that added little bit there you did at the end, Cam. That was wicked.
Well, I guess it all depends on whether you're in the party or not.
Yeah,
because if you're not in the party, you may be a lot more against it.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably wouldn't argue that it is an advantage. I'm not in favour of a one-party state, but if you're going to weigh up the various pros and cons, that probably is a pro in favour of it.
It's the premise.
You know, do you think Vladimir Putin has to worry about all the opposition debates constantly happening in Russia?
No, because he just assassinates them.
Exactly, which is a significant advantage of a one-party state.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get about this question. It's like, as far as the statement goes, I think, yeah, that makes sense. But it doesn't mean I advocate a one-party state. It doesn't mean I'm in favour of one. But the notion that that's an advantage of it, I'd be like,
I've got to strongly disagree on two counts, right? I strongly disagree with the premises of the question, and I strongly disagree that the premise of the question, because the first point was so good, I had to make it twice.
You strongly disagree with the premise of the question.
Exactly right. So yeah, I strongly disagree.
All right. So you're
I'll disagree.
Yeah.
You'll disagree. I was going to agree. Gerard,
just because you agree with the idea of the premise of the question.
Yeah, because I agree with that's the way I answer these quizzes. At least I do it very specifically on the wording of the question.
That's why you're Captain Switzerland, though, I suppose.
I'm not with the premise, but I don't think it's wrong that it gets rid of debate and it gets things done a lot faster. So I would say agree, just on the wording of the question.
I guess that averages to a disagree then.
I'm happy for you to agree, though, because I'm quite split on it as well.
All right, I'll put agree with this one.
All right.
Yeah, you Stalinism.
Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, all wrongdoers need to be ruined.
Oh, fuck off, man. This is Orwellian, man.
Strongly disagree. They're taking our fucking memes away.
Well, don't forget the Stevens Charter. Do you know something like the 20% of the world's CCTV cameras in this country? Something ridiculous like that.
If you know I'm innocent, then why do you need to look over my stuff? Go away.
Oh,
Have you got nothing to hide?
we need to add.
Yeah, if you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to fear. Yeah. This is proper 19 out of 4 stuff. Yeah, fuck off, man. Yeah, bollocks. Fuck off. Just fuck off. Shit. Let me watch my bestiality midget porn in peace, please. Like, dude.
In your bestiality midget porn, is it the beasts that are midgets, or is it midgets with beasts?
I'll let your imagination think over that one, mate.
Just probably an important distinction for the censors. Like some of it's 18 content, and some of it's like really R-rated 18.
Well,
content.
they get the pictures. You get the thought crimes in your head.
Oh, I've already committed that thought crime now.
Next.
Well, you just need to think of Rule 34. If it's porn, if it exists, it's porn of it, right? The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes.
Never.
Yeah,
Never.
I strongly disagree. Yeah,
I'm usually quite torn on this one, but I think I fall on the side of disagree. So disagree.
I'm split on the death penalty myself, but in terms of killing innocents, or the state killing innocents, I would say disagree.
Well, this is it. This is the premise of the question is the death penalty. Sorry, can you? Hang on, go back. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious of crimes. So if he's like a serial killer that's killed like 15 people, right? And he's blatantly guilty, he turns up with blood on his shirt and everything else, right? So 100, you know it's him, right?
He's got a bloody shirt.
He's got a bloody shirt, bloody glove, bloody shoe. I must be innocent. Oh, it's OJ Simpson. All right, sorry. So
if the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, well, this is it. So do you think he should be put to death? I say he. Am I being sexist or she? Whatever.
That's just no.
No, I don't
There's a
think
couple
so
of
either.
reasons. A couple of reasons for it.
Yeah.
Firstly, it's more expensive to kill them. Actually, another reason is they could be actually innocent. Another reason, what right is there to kill people?
Yeah.
Another reason above that is that should people have a second chance?
Those are 4 good reasons. A 5th reason I would like to add to that is if you kill them, what have you learnt from them? What societal triggers led them to do these crimes? What has created this monster? If you don't understand the criminal, then you'll never understand the society that created the criminal, right? So putting someone to death, I think, is a lack of research, which is why Jeremy Corbyn, I believe, and I'm very much in the same circumstance, that just to kill Osama bin Laden and throw him in the sea was a lack of intelligence. You know, it really, really was. Because what have you learned? Just to shoot him and throw him in the sea. You know, actually, I think he's on a South Pacific island with Elvis and Lady Diana, but that's another story.
Oh no. He's in Cuba. We're smoking cigars with Tupac.
And Lady Diana and Elvis. maybe.
And like a 130-year-old Hitler. just hooked up to a machine somewhere.
No, it's just his head in a bottle. Like
a Michael Jackson stand at the minibar.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, next question.
In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded.
Fuck off. Strongly disagree.
Oh, this is going to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Strongly disagree.
Did you say chaff or chavs?
Chaff rather than chavs. But I mean, as far as I take this this question, it's basically, do you agree or not with the concept of hierarchical structures?
Yeah, it's class, isn't it? Class structure.
No, not just class, hierarchical structures.
Do you mean like inherited class structures?
No, I'm not talking about class. I'm saying hierarchical structures. I'm saying class is a hierarchical structure, but it's not the only one. You've got structures between parents and children, structures between bosses and workers, structures between teachers and students.
Oh, hang on a minute. You kind of like pulled me apart earlier for looking too much into these questions and not looking at them for their like standard viewing. But I see this just as class question.
It doesn't surprise me that you'd see it as a class question, champion.
Well, this could mean for anything. No, if I had Jess Phillips here, she'd be showing patriarchy.
Yeah, Jess Phillips.
Granted.
The way I interpret it, at least, is just the concept of people instructing other people for various reasons. And in that sense, I'd say, well, yes, there are obviously circumstances where that's necessary.
Hang on. Let me see. No, I still strongly disagree because, right? Check out this bullshit. The wording of the question is wrong. If it was to say, in a civilized society, one must always have people on the same level to be instructed, and people on the same level to be receiving those instructions, I think is different. So what, rather than being people, so kind of rather than mother and father, rather than hierarchical teachers. So like your mother and your father are the first teachers that you meet, and then you go into external teaching facilities, and then you go into other teaching facilities. I think that would be a better way. So I still disagree.
Go on, Gerald.
I think this could be from what I know on elitism, but I think that no matter what system you will form, capitalism, communism, anything, you're always going to have a hierarchy of some form or another. Even under communism, right? You have sort of the proletariat, but sort of above that, you're being commanded by, say, the Politburo of the Communist Party. And above that is the Standing Committee, and above that is the leader. So I think no matter what system you have, you'll always have some kind of hierarchy. I think it's just...
Well, I think that's a very outdated of looking at communism.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I just think it's human nature to sort of form hierarchies.
I'm saying that's a very outdated way of looking at communism.
Even if you look at monarchies, you have the kings, then you have like the lords, then you have the bishops, then the knights, then the sheriffs. Like, it's just humans have always just sort of formed different
hierarchies. Yeah, but it would be hierarchies of understanding rather than hierarchies of power.
Well, it says they're above to be obeyed and below to be commanded, so I think it's more referring to power.
Okay, so then again, my point still stands. I strongly disagree.
Well, we're going to have to put it to the average then, in that case. So I will go strongly agree. Opposite end of the spectrum.
I'm going strongly disagree.
Oh!
Right, what do we do now?
Okay, so Gerard?
Strongly agree. Right, so we're bringing angels. We have to have a centrist to break it up.
We need. Okay. So we need to put this to the guys in the side chat. Strongly agree, strongly disagree. Quickly.
Yep. Should we say like first person to give us a response? Just agree or disagree.
Quick.
Come on, guys. How do you feel about hierarchical power structures? Have you been watching your Jordan Peterson or not? Rescue your father from the belly of the whale. Come on, guys. Who's it going to be?
Room.
Clean your room. Clean your goddamn room.
Oh shit! What's the question? Oh my god! Oh dear. Okay. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. We thought we were being ignored. Sorry, Shafted, mate. Didn't mean to. Actually, we were neglecting the side chat. And here we are demanding them to give us some. No wonder fucking Asim went to sleep. dear, this is terrible. Indifferent. Jack! Damn you!
In a civilized live stream, there must always be people above to answer the question and people in the side chat to be ignored. Strongly agree.
There it is. Swiss putting down his Stalinist thumb.
You're all getting put on a list, comrades.
Who's going in the gulag?
Can we? Oh, screw it. Should we just play like verbal rock paper scissors or something? We'll probably get a quicker answer.
There's no like neutral fucking position, is there, on this one either? Is there?
No. Right, Champchu, you want to rock paper scissors me on the count of 3?
Okay, how do we do this?
Right, we'll count down together so we're roughly in sync.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that like a dodgy 90s like boy band?
Yeah, roughly in sync. The rip-off of in sync, approximately at the same time. That's what.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So we're going to count out 3, 2, 1, and then whatever the rock paper scissors.
Do I have to do it like Justin Timberlake?
How would you go about that?
1, 2, 3.
That was beautiful,
wasn't it? Well, he was in sync, wasn't he?
For a time.
Okay, moving on. Okay.
All right.
Someone else call it. Someone else call it.
Yeah. Someone else call the countdown, and then me and Champs will shout it.
I'm glad you're all jumping in there for.
Yeah, real team players here.
Yeah. Gerard, good.
So you want me to count down from 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Scissors.
Rock.
Oh, you fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were like half an hour afterwards than I was. You were like, oh, scissors. Rock.
I heard scissors in my ears the moment I said rock. Yeah, I don't know what the delay is on your end, but
yeah, bollocks.
Just accepts the power structure, Champchi. Accepts the rock smashing your scissors.
All right. Just
wait, what's happened? That's what I quickly went to the toilet and he went rock paper scissors.
It was the only way to settle the dispute because we were completely drawn and no one in the side chat had anything to offer, so we had to play rock paper scissors.
What was the conclusion?
I won, so you've got all the power structures, and I'm on top.
Oh no!
The Swiss's Stalinist yoke is approaching the entire internet right now. So
but it's only agree though, rather than strongly agree, because it was just dipping on the side of the 50-50. So
I'm going to dominate you, but only pragmatically.
Oh, you get done, Mister, right?
Oh dear! No, carry on going because I'm in fucking bits now.
Oh, that's what she said. Abstract art that does not represent anything. Shouldn't be because it's art at all.
Strongly disagree. It doesn't have to represent anything, but it can look nice.
I'm going to put the strongest degree as well.
Champchu?
Hang on.
Anyone?
Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be. Oh, fuck off. Strongly disagree.
Gerard as well.
Gerard also strongly disagrees. Excellent.
In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. If you pronounce that word right, I never do it.
Rehab, like rehab.
Yeah.
And
rehab.
then illitation.
Rehabilitation.
There we go. No. more emphasis on rehab. There should be some punishment to it. So I'm not going to like strongly disagree. I'll just disagree.
Hang on.
I'll go strongly disagree.
More in criminal justice, punishment should be more important than in rehabilitation. No. If we have criminal issues in our society, then it's a societal health issue, not a criminal issue. Granted, while there is a balance, I agree, there is a balance, and society is well in the criminal justice league rather than the societal health league. But while we address this balance, I agree. But ideally, we'd like to be in this addressing societal health rather than punishing people for criminal justice, because there is no such thing as a crime without context. So understanding that context is half of the issue.
I think understanding the background to why someone's committed a crime and what has led to it is obviously a very important factor. But I still believe there needs to be a sense of culpability if a person has knowingly done something incredibly wrong. Like, you know, like
of course, but there's also you need to understand that they didn't do this wrong out of context. You know, you can't say a woman stealing bread to feed her family she should be punished for stealing. You know, you need to understand the context before you can understand the crime.
But I mean, the example you just said, though, I would say, okay, yeah, that's a justifiable context, but there's
no such thing of crime without context, though.
I mean, you could probably have a context for any crime, but whether it's a justifiable context, that's what I'd question. There was I forget his name. He's a famous chef in this country. He's Hugh Furley Whittingstall, something like that. Is that I think it was him. This might be like libelous if it wasn't him, but I swear I'd heard about, you know, like he's
on
my
he's channel as well. You're fuck's sake. I bet you wouldn't do this on your bloody channel, would you?
Oh, no, I'll throw some allegedlys in there. Don't worry.
Allegedly.
Okay. Yeah, it could have been him. It could not have been. But the point was, a rich celebrity chef from this country.
The short, fat, troll-looking dude with the ginger hair.
Yeah. He was found shoplifting from stores. Now, obviously, he doesn't need to shoplift. He doesn't need to steal anything for his family. He's got the money to pay for it, but he did it for the thrill. Now, I'm sure you could justify, it's some inherent mental disposition of why he'd feel the need to do that. Why isn't he fulfilled in other aspects of his life? But nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that he's a rich dude who stole things from a shop. And in that sense, I'd say, fuck the context. He ought to be dealt with by the law.
Again, I would disagree, because you would have to understand the mental degradation that comes with being famous, and the entire detachment they have to real society.
Is this basically, I'm too famous and detached to have to follow the law?
Well, we saw the same thing with what's the name? The kleptomaniac. She was really, really beautiful woman as well. What's her name? No, it's going to escape me. She was in Beetlejuice. But yeah, I mean, again, there are societal issues that you have to address. But yes, he does need to be punished, which again there is a balancing act there, which I think I addressed before. You know, so yeah, there is a balancing act.
Yeah. What did people put for the question? For the question anyway, for us to get like the average. You said strongly disagree, didn't you, Champchu?
I did, yeah.
And I think I said disagree. Yeah.
I put strongly disagree. So I will put disagree overall actually on that.
Either disagree or strongly disagree. I think either probably works.
It is a waste of time to
Strongly
try
disagree.
to rehabilitate some criminals.
Strongly disagree.
I'd say it depends on the criminal.
It does indeed. It does indeed.
Well, you could call Blair a criminal.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much. I don't think it's worthwhile trying to rehabilitate Blair. Or let me put it this way. Say if Hitler hadn't died in his bunker, okay? Say if he hadn't died in his bunker and instead, he was found, he was put on trial and they were like, Hitler, you were in charge of all these millions of Jews dying, etc., etc. And Hitler goes, come on now, guys, I just need to be rehabilitated. Can't you just give me some talking therapy sessions and let me do some painting out in the garden and I'm sure I'll come round.
Apparently he was a prolific painter, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, exactly. I think criminals. I obviously think you ought to try and rehabilitate criminals, of course, but I do think arguably there will always be some individuals that are just beyond help. That there's no point in it.
So you might as well just execute them, right?
Or just keep them locked up.
Well, then surely that's more expensive, isn't it?
I'm
very much up for keeping them in like maximum security mental prisons, and that someone like Hitler in your framing of your debate, right? This person like Hitler or Hitler himself, right? He would be kept in a maximum security prison, and every so often they poke him with a stick or do whatever the doctors do, and just to find out what makes him tick, and to find out why and how he actually got to do, and completely dissecting him, obviously not physically dissecting him, but mentally dissecting him, and to make sure it doesn't happen again. The fact that we haven't done that is that we could be sleepwalking into it happening again, So, I mean, these are the lessons that we need to learn. And these are the framework this is the framework that you laid out, by the way. So within that framework, this is what I say that we should do. Whether he will be rehabilitated or not in the framework of the question, I have no idea.
You know what? I think you've actually won me over, Champchu, because the question is, it is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. I guess every criminal warrants trying to rehabilitate them. I think it's a waste of time that some criminals will never be rehabilitated, but I'd agree that you should try. So, yeah, okay, I'll disagree in that case.
Yeah. Yay!
Yeah, you actually convinced me. On one of them.
Yeah. Well, I hope you've withdrawn that 10 quid, mate, because you might be sending it to me sooner than you think.
We'll wait and see, won't we?
By the way, if it's October or September, you might as well send it straight to Angels. By the way.
Oh, why is that then?
She's got a bet on. I think it's October or September. Do you reckon? Well, when we did sweepstake on the Bullock chat, you were on your hiatus at the time, but
I see.
It was. I don't think she'll remember, but anyway, if it is before November, then yeah, you should send it to her, not me.
I'll keep that in mind then.
Okay.
Phone in the century, so dear. The business person and the manufacturer is more important than the writer and the artist.
Bollocks.
Bollocks. I knew you were going to say that. I wanted to try and get it at the same time as you.
Strongly disagree.
I'll strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah, strongly disagree.
Yeah, I'm very against IPOs. What a surprise. How weird is that? That really
mothers may have careers, but the first duty is to be homemaker.
Strongly disagree.
Bollocks. Strongly disagree.
I say disagree, not strongly, but disagree.
Strongly disagree.
All you.
It should be
cunts.
shared equally.
No,
In fact, do the world a favor. Just don't have fucking kids.
Go on then, Chad. Tell us what you'd put.
I'm joking. I'd put strongly disagree.
Look how progressive Mr. Gerd is.
Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries.
Strongly agree.
Yeah, strongly agree. Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Yeah.
Strongly agree.
Making peace with the establishment is a important aspect of maturity. Fuck the establishment.
Fuck the system. Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Here we are. This is dragging us towards the little anarchist corner of the political compass. These last couple of questions.
This is probably centrist to win this in. Astrology accurately explains many things.
No, Cancer. That was a star sign joke.
Mercury is in retrograde. So I think I strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
See, I always have to remember the difference between astronomy and astrology. I occasionally get confused between those two. But yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
You cannot be moral without being religious.
Oh, fuck off. Disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Like, you're asking that question to a bunch of atheists. What do you think?
But well, I'm not atheist.
Well, I know Swiss is an atheist.
I am.
I said
I didn't have anything funny to add to that. I just
that was
I
a bit
am
flat. That was a bit flat.
A bit flat. Okay, try again. Go on. Feed me the line again. Let me do a second take.
Well, I know Swiss is an atheist.
Yeah, that's right.
Nah, it's still a bit shit.
one last time.
One more time. Well, I know Swiss is an atheist.
Fuck the Pope.
That's bad. Oh dear. You could have said, I've been an atheist ever since I caught the Pope in bed with my sister or something.
Well, the Pope doesn't go to bed with your sister. It goes to bed with your brother.
What are you on about? He goes to bed with your son.
Cameron. You go straight to hell with that one, mate.
You've all just assumed the gender of my sibling there, and I'd like to point out it is the current year. The Pope could go for any kind of gendered child of his choosing.
Apparently, they do regularly.
Why can't the Pope him?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sorry. The holy attack helicopter.
Oh dear. This is why my watching now has just been dropping like slowly. Is because of this quality of like analysis on these questions. It's gone from like 13 to 7 in like the last 5 minutes, I swear.
We're having too much fun.
We're having too much fun. Next. Go on, Cameron. Next question.
Charity is better than social security as it means helping the generally disadvantaged.
Fuck off. Strongly disagree.
Here's a question, just to play devil's advocate for a moment.
Right.
Like foreign aid, right? Or say if there's been like an earthquake or a disaster in a poor country, and you send over a load of bags of rice and tents and all that kind of stuff. That's charity, isn't it?
Sure.
And I'd say that is obviously better at helping them than. Well, I don't know if there's any form of social security that would manage it.
The problem with well, I'm not sure about. Oh no, hang on. Sorry, I'm just basically having a disagreement with myself in my own head. So charity is better than social security, but no. This is on a national level, not an international level, as far as I understand it. understand the premise of the question.
Yeah, I was only trying to throw a little spanner in the works. I'd disagree with that as well.
So now this is a right-wing idealistic point of view in that if rich people were not taxed so much that they would give more money to charity. And I completely disagree. And I'm well aware of this trigger that this question is kind of pointed towards. A bit like that, all according to their means and all according to their ability. A bit like that question. This is the same trigger question. So yeah, I strongly disagree. It is a trigger question, I'm telling you, mate.
I will also disagree. So I imagine
yeah, keep up this view then.
Why? People... No. Strongly disagree.
If you insist, all right.
No, seriously, right? This is the same fucking idea as trickle down economics, right? We all know what a fucking pile of shit that is, right? Oh yeah. You just keep lowering our taxes and don't worry, you'll get more high quality jobs from us rich people. Don't worry about that. While we squirrel our money offshore. Yeah.
We'll just get a little trickle of it occasionally.
No.
Is that the book's dividend?
It's bullshit. It's fucking
we get a trickle.
Bullshit. It's not even trickle anymore. It's not even a fucking leaky tap in a dodgy outhouse anymore. Like, fuck's sake. Anyway, next question.
Some people are naturally unlucky.
Bollocks. Strongly disagree. Again, strongly disagree.
Yeah.
I've got a weird way of answering this one. And it probably sounds like I'm being a right pedantic prick, but it's genuinely the way that my brain works. I think that if you were to take, if you, first of all, I don't believe in some kind of an intrinsic force of luck, like it's some, ethereal magic thing that applies to people. I don't believe in that. But if you determine luck as being, the number of good things that could probably happen to someone versus the number of bad things that could probably happen to someone, right? And you were to lay out the whole of the population, then the spread between the 7 billion people on Earth, there will obviously be people who measurably have more unlikely good things happen to them and people have more unlikely bad things happen to them. So in that sense, I would say there are lucky people versus unlucky people just by looking at the data. But I don't believe in luck as a magic thing. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, it does. But I again, looking at the premise of the question, it's no, I just disagree.
I would have said agree because let's take most extreme scenario here. If you're a kid born in Yemen and you have say a disability or something like that, I would consider that pretty fucking unlucky. And you had nothing really to do with it, so it was natural.
That's an interesting point.
That is, yeah. You completely confuddled me then.
Blown it all open. I mean, I guess the premise of the question is basically, are you a superstitious fuck? That's what they're trying to imply, but I don't know. I'd say agree. I'd say there probably are some people who are unlucky based on the consequences of how various people fare against one another.
See, I thought I was grasping at a point. It could have been I was grasping at straws at the point that the parents had a decision to have a child at the time in Yemen during the wartime. But then you've got to look at, the ideals of did they have sufficient birth control? And I'm bringing so many factors into this in my head. And I just, is it just luck at the end of the day? And okay, yeah, I would go with Gerard. You've sold me. Agree.
Yeah.
Well done. Good job. Fuck. Fuck. I've got to get my game up. Wait. Hang on, I need to get some more booze. Hang on a second. Oh, fuck off before you complain at me. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Hang on.
I drove him to drink.
Right, I'm in which case, if he's nipped off to grab a drink, I'll go get one as well. So I'll be back in a sec.
You know what? I might as well get on now.
So how's the side chat doing? Let me get the watch link up.
What's the question?
Oh, we just got back at the same time.
All right, okay. It is important that my child's school instills. Oh, fuck off! No, strongly disagree.
Yeah, bollocks to him.
So, like, I understand like the idea of faith schools and stuff like that, but don't have your faith or your religion interfere with science. Okay, science is separate, and I think schools should be secular, and yes, religion and tradition and culture should be enjoyed through religious studies, and every religion should be celebrated separately, and it should also be linked in with historical studies and history and understanding where it comes from and where different cultures come from. But for fuck's sake, to say that you have to be Christian to go to a school, or you have to be Muslim to go to a school, or to have a Muslim school is completely wrong. I mean, I think schools as places of education should be 100% secular, and they should invite all ideals to those schools as places of learning.
I'm kind of torn on the whole issue of whether I think faith schools ought to be scrapped or not. But as far as the wording of the question went, I think it said like it's important for schools to instill religious values in my child, and I'm like, well, assuming I have kids one day, I really won't care for whether they're reading hymns off a sheet or something. Yeah. I won't find that awfully important, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a C of E school. I mean, and the crazy thing about a C of E school is they never tell you the history about Church of England, and I had to leave education and independently research about Church of England, and then you're just like, fuck, I went to a school that studied this shit. What the fuck? Like, what, Church of England? Really? Fucking Henry VIII did that? Fuck.
Just so he could marry a new woman?
What? Five of them?
He went to town, didn't he? Well, I'm going to make my own church with blackjack and hookers. You can't tell me what to do.
This leads into the great next question, right? The next question. Go on, Cameron. Lead us in.
Before I say that, so I was saying it's Henry VIII created the Church of England, but it wasn't really. It was still very Catholic. Not until Elizabeth.
Yeah,
it would be Protestant. But
Yeah.
sex outside marriage is usually immoral.
Oh my god.
What a great
So-
segue we just had. What a great segue.
Oh,
Church of England to sex outside of marriage.
James,
James,
you're
saving
gonna burn
is
hell.
the right term.
what a time to join us, James, our radical centrist.
Well, good evening, all.
How do
Oh,
oh
no,
god, an
two-
Angels is here.
Oh,
Two centrists. They're gonna
Centrist
bias
is
the they're gonna bias the results at the very end.
Oh no!
It's not like this was
Hey,
planned at all.
guys, it's the centric takeover time.
No,
How's it
now they'll be
going?
now they'll be talking about cooperation.
Oh, and pragmatism.
Oh god! Oh no! Fuck pragmatism. We've already
No, we love a bit of pragmatism around here.
haven't you heard? Haven't you?
Pragmatism.
Haven't you heard? We're already been stuffed under the Stalinist yoke of Swiss like earlier today. So, you know, it's
I've been revealing myself for the totalitarian that I've always secretly been.
Like all of our scores were like, well, actually, mine and James's were very similar. No surprise there.
Shock.
But yeah, and both of us got pragmatism as like the added trait. Hilarious, right? But like Abby, yeah, Abby's was like a really random mix, and like a few of the others was such a weird random mix, and like we couldn't even make up our minds what she actually was. We're like, what? And
yeah,
then,
yeah. Abby's results were really crazy.
bizarre. Welcome back though, Chamty. I missed you.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot. I know I've been away for a while. I've just been really busy. Oh, by the way, I passed my EDAN test, my second degree.
Oh,
bad
nice
test.
one.
Congrats.
So that was cool.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Bravo.
It
Ain't
means
you moving
I'm
house?
sorry, go on.
Hello, good. I was just going to say, aren't you moving house as well?
Yeah. It's come to the situation where I actually said on the bullet chat earlier that I'm going to be straggling to cities for the next couple of months. So yeah, I'm going to be going all over the place. But I'll try to be online as much as possible. But with the World Cup as well, you know, that's the other reason why I haven't
What the
been
World
online.
Cup?
Hang on. As long as England
as-
is still in, I'll be watching the World Cup, mate.
Really? I
Exactly.
don't get about it.
As the
Oh.
football correspondent here, I'd just like to thank South Korea very, very much on behalf
For
of the
knocking
65
Germany.
million. Yes.
No, I know, right? I was literally jumping. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning here, and I was literally jumping on my sofa, and so was my wife G. Like she was like, yeah. Bloody what was it? Switzerland was it that
Sweden.
Sweden. There we go. I always get those two mixed up. Yeah. That one, and yeah, we'll just like, well, this is the score that they needed to go through, that South Korea needed at 0 minutes. South Korea needed to win by 2-0 to go through if everything stayed normal. If Mexico won, you know, that's what they needed to go through. So I was very sad that they didn't go through. But literally at full time, G said to me, is like, you need to beat Belgium and then you need to kick Japan's ass for us. Because Germany and Japan are kind of similar in our views. Korea hates Japan because their
Yeah, so, like-
occupation is still in living memory. Like,
Mm.
so they're like, oh, hate Japanese. So they're like, yeah, please just beat Japan. But now we're not playing Japan, and it's just like, oh shit, you know. I feel
So,
a bit
like-
kind of deflated on that.
So England
on that
hate
one.
Argentina and Germany, and South Korea hate North Korea and Japan. I see like the similarities here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
I see none.
See,
You wouldn't, Angels.
was it none or none? You just got a
Oh.
korma in the back pocket. Is that
I
what it
don't.
is?
I'm really hungry.
So am I. I didn't even get a pizza tonight. Ooh.
Oh, normally you're walking home with a 12-inch pizza, giving your input, James Fielding. What the fuck?
Of course, with normally Mr. Michael Fielding himself.
With Michael Fielding.
Hang on, this is a centrist takeover, isn't it? Oh my
Of
god.
course.
Yes.
I mean, we're gonna, of course, here. I meant to ask a question. Is sex
Oh,
outside
so-
marriage usually immoral? We go off topic.
Yeah,
This
we
is a
got.
very important
Hang
thing.
on a minute, guys. Yeah, hang on. We're actually in the middle of summer gear, right? Before you crashed our
I'll tell you what, though. I think despite the centrist takeover, having looked at the 3 questions on the screen at the moment, I suspect we're probably going to give the exact same answers that we would have anyway.
I don't know. This first one, sex outside of marriage is usually moral. I think angels would definitely strongly agree on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I've ever done anything like that outside of marriage. So, I mean,
It's just not Christian.
so I will go with the Rees-Mogg, and I will say that that's absolutely true.
Oh,
No,
bringing up the
of course
Rees-Mogg, right? He goes on TV, right? Like, tell me if this is wrong, right? He goes on TV and says it's wrong for people to have abortions, no matter what the circumstance, because life is sacrosanct. You know, this is his words. Life is sacrosanct, no matter what, right? Yet there are 2 cases of where he's voted for war, right? And the other thing, he has shares in a company, in a pharmaceutical company that deals in abortion pills, right? How is that not like against his Christian values, right? Talking about Rees-Mogg specifically. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong and it's this all conspiracy theory shit, like tell me. But surely, like,
No. I see that is a total conflict of interest on his part, but then I've never been like a fan of Rees-Mogg anyway. I know that some people are like, they sort of think, oh, you know, he's basically the new Boris, like that, you know, everyone went, oh, he's great, and now he's like toxic, and now it's like him. But he's totally wrong. Of course he's wrong. I mean, to have interest in those types of things and then turn around and call yourself like a staunch Catholic, like in many ways, I'm like a better, well, don't know about that, but you know, at least I practice certain things within the Catholic religion that maybe, you know, I just, all I'm saying is I think he's basically a two-faced kind of guy who doesn't really live by his own morals.
That's weird, isn't it?
How I like to describe him is a 17th century snob.
But I mean, there's
that's
nothing wrong with snobbery, though, James. Like,
well, like we know you like to snob about shopping at Waitrose and
and hating Wetherspoons,
drinking
and, like,
spritzes at 2:00 in the morning. But no.
Okay, well, if there's nothing wrong with snobbery, Angels, then there's nothing wrong with us chavs, like telling you that
you
you're a
called
snob.
me a snob. You first-hand called Chanty. You
You're a
first-hand
snob.
called me.
You are a snob, yeah.
You obviously colluded with James for our century's takeover. like we colluded.
I knew
Collusion.
We honestly didn't. We didn't collude.
They came in at the same time to hijack the stream.
Shall we answer a few of these questions? Because
we're going to be here all fucking night. Well, we have been here all fucking night. To me, anyway. But go on, carry on. Let's do this.
Cameron said,
we can deal with the snobbery after.
I mean,
like I said,
to collusion.
Nuke
Collusion
Waitrose
is a
from
bit of a
orbit.
harsh word.
Nuke Waitrose from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. I'm telling you.
Colluding
Get rid of all.
James. Look a bit strong, Jesus Christ.
I mean, centrists have been known to collude.
It's like
It
a
does
John
happen.
Kennedy.
Yeah, just look at
you
Salisbury
aren't
and
helping.
fucking
You aren't-
Chukwuemeka. Like,
I mean, Josh Soros has his hands in everyone's pockets. He's funded everyone.
Oh God, it's bloody always George Soros. But actually,
I bet
oh,
George Soros.
let's listen to angels make excuses. For him.
Go on.
right, I'm actually going to take it away from George Soros, and say, because somebody else mentioned Chuka Amina, right? I don't
me.
care what his politics are. He is eye candy and a half. So like, I'm.
So
good
there we
with-
go.
He's,
Like,
he's a fucking egg.
he is right.
Chukwuemeka's a
Also,
fucking egg.
he says to fucking speak for the working people. The guy's never been on a bus in his life, mate. Honestly.
Well, I
You
don't know
think
about
he's-
that. He's like MP for Streatham. He gets in with a thumping.
Yeah,
majority.
but yeah, really? Are you sure he wasn't like, parachuted in? He's a bit posh, mate. He is a bit of a snob.
Yeah, I mean, I like.
Do you
I'm
reckon
not-
he shops at Tesco's, mate? No, I don't think so.
I don't
When he's
know.
canvassing.
Yeah, maybe. Or
Mm.
yeah, maybe when he's canvassing.
Ugh, even canvassing, I don't think I'd stretch to.
Well, you wouldn't go to Tesco's and you wouldn't like go get yourself a little meal deal to tuck under your arm just to show you
come
one
on.
of the regular people.
What's
can't-
a meal?
come
deal?
A meal? What's a meal deal?
You say
Oh
you're not
my!
out of touch.
Oh, come on. Are you sure you wouldn't go to Brooklands? There's Tesco's down in Brooklands,
Oh, the big one there. No, I only go to the Marks and Spencer there.
They
Yeah,
don't
but
have
they're
meal deals in
attached.
Marks
They're
and
actually
Spencer?
attached.
No,
So
but I
how
only
do
go to the M&S. I don't go to the.
Yeah, but they're actually attached together.
I
but
know they are.
They have the
Those
same
are-
entrance and everything. So
They have separate entrances, and I make sure to go.
oh,
In the...
so you go by the rich doors, not by the poor doors.
Yes.
So you're basically.
Oh, don't
saying-
say you're basically a snob, because
No, I was just basically gonna say that you're emphasizing gentrification. That's
great.
Can I just basically say that
Yeah,
sex
basically.
outside marriage is not usually immoral? I will strongly disagree.
what strongly.
Yes, strongly disagree. Definitely. Oh my God! I mean, Jesus Christ! I would have been like sent to hell a long time back.
Listen,
Don't worry, your tickets
you
are already
infidels.
printed,
you heathens, we burn the hell for this. We are.
mate. That's true.
God has spoken. Right.
Next question, Cameron.
A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption.
Strongly agree.
Agree.
Yeah, strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
We all bloody agree.
Pornography depicting consenting adults should be illegal for adult population.
Unless it's midget bestiality or whatever
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, Chamchu.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Everybody deserves a bit of midget bestiality, right?
Live and
Shut
let
Unless you're Damien Green.
live. Oh,
Oh, the only person that watches porn more than me. The only person on this earth that watches porn more than me. That watches porn more than any other person on this. Like, what was it, 8 hours a day he watched porn? Who is it having a wank on this channel?
And why does it sound like you're scratching? That's not
No,
how a
it's
wank
not having a
should
wank.
sound.
Who's having a wank?
like I said, some people are into that shit.
Well, you are
right,
probably.
I think porn with consenting adults should be legal for the adult population.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Ah,
like, sorry, is this the? Oh, right. So this is the quiz, and so we're sort of saying that, like, so the sorry, how was the question phrased? So just general porn shouldn't be.
But basically, if the porn wasn't filmed under duress, as long as everyone involved in the porn,
Was
they all
consenting.
Yeah, they all knew what was happening. They all had a nice can of tango afterwards. Being treated by the catering company. Everyone's been made to feel very welcome. Then it should be fine for the adult population.
I think sex work should be 100% legal, same as drugs. So yeah.
Okay. Like going back on a point that you made, Swiss, right? That everybody got their can of tango and everything else, right? So do you reckon, like, when they do like studies, do you reckon it'd be like the exit polls? So once a prostitute or a sex worker or a porn star had finished their day at work, they do a questionnaire and then, so did you get your can of tango? No, I didn't get a can of tango. Oh, that's a big X for that one. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to bar this studio from our ISP. Definitely.
Oh, that's it. Oh, what these fucking stingy bastards only have cherry coke? Well, I'm not going to be working for them again.
Yeah. Or the other thing, what do you think of the opt-in ISP thing that they brought in the UK?
Just wait until the porn licenses come. So you'll have to go down there.
Well, you have to tell BT or whoever it is, Sky TV or whatever. I want porn on my TV.
You actually have to go down to the corner shop and ask for a porn license. I'm serious. That's how they're doing it.
Yeah, something else as well. You have to literally put ID on porn sites as well.
Oh man, that's bad.
So that's what they want.
Okay.
Or you could just use a VPN.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, this is the thing,
Like, that is so fucking ridiculous. I could have been done in the last 3 days. Are you joking? Like, why do they even do that? Like, what is the big thing? Like, why?
Because trolls are quite immoral, and they've been doing this for years. We're literally doing this for years. So you know, it's not something new.
Yeah. Granted, but it's the same as drugs and alcohol, isn't it? It doesn't work. If you try and restrict access to these things, right? Then it'll drive it underground, and when it drives underground, then it becomes more dangerous, and it defeats the entire point.
Exactly. Legalize drugs.
Legalize drugs, exactly.
Yeah.
And it becomes a health issue rather than a social criminal issue.
Exactly. And it also puts a bunch of really shady fuckers out of business.
Out of business, yeah. Really shady fuckers.
So, I mean, I know that Swiss still has his hang-ups about this, don't you? You're quite... Well, no. You're pro-legalization of drugs, but it's certain drugs, right? So it's obviously cannabis and that kind of thing. But other stuff when it comes to hallucinogenics and maybe opiates and that kind of stuff that you're a bit
It just seems like a rather dodgy world to me, where you can walk into a shop and buy yourself a nice bit of cocaine or heroin.
Why? To me, it sounds like a great world, personally, but...
Well, no. If you look at countries like Portugal, what they found was heroin use actually went down.
I know. But actually, it's not only that, Chamty. It's not only with the hard drugs. That happened with cannabis too. So, in Holland, when it was made legal, the problems related to it and the overall usage went down because they combined it with a education scheme.
I would not put heroin and cannabis in the same category. You can't really overdose on cannabis.
No, granted, but
trust me, you kind of can in some ways. But I get what you're saying.
I'd also say, for the sake of the whole legalization debate, I think baby steps will probably win people round more. I think you're a lot more likely to get widespread public support for decriminalizing or legalizing cannabis than you would be to offer them a referendum on saying all the drugs. Yeah.
But I do believe in all the drugs. I mean, within in the sense of they would still have to be tested and regulated and taxed. Like, so, meaning that they couldn't be laced with X or this or that, or, you know, but, and even though I don't do them myself, and I believe that many of them are dangerous, I do think that the lasting effects, like Chamshi says, right, the actual long-term stuff, like the long-term evidence does actually point to it being better as far as, like, you know, drug addicts and issues and all of this. So
yeah, I mean, it is kind of a societal health issue. And again, I think what Gerard and Yusuf are kind of alluding to is there's no political will. So if you're going to just legalize something and legalize everything straight away, you can't just do that, because it just wouldn't work. You also need to have the support areas. You know, you need to have the needle exchanges, you need to have the shoot up banks, you know, you need to have the clinics where you know, proper heroin addicts can go and shoot up safely and just, you know,
well, I mean,
do
Amsterdam
it
already has
safely,
methadone
you
bans.
know.
Yeah.
But methadone doesn't work.
No, it
That's the
doesn't
problem
work.
with methadone.
But what I'm saying is, Amsterdam already has that.
Yeah, sure.
Because they were like forward thinking enough to realize that people who were using, even though it's not technically like legal, that they would need some sort of help, right? And so, and actually, like I said, they, like, their issues when it comes to cannabis use, since it's been legal in Holland, have plummeted down. So
But
why not make it legal?
I was going to say, do you not think if we legalized all drugs, it would still go underground, because people would then go to like their drug dealers and find like stronger strength stuff, and that wouldn't be issued like over the counter, for example.
But why? But hang on, let me answer this quickly. But why would you when it's not regulated? So if you buy something that's regulated, so you can buy penicillin over the counter, right? Well, no, you can't buy penicillin over the counter. You need a prescription. Sorry.
You do.
You can buy like paracetamol over the counter. Why would you then go and buy paracetamol off the street?
No, but this is like a drug, like say cocaine or something. I don't know. I don't take drugs, but if they had like a single strength,
if you don't take drugs, then do you think that you have an opinion?
well, yes, I have an.
Well, of
yes,
course he has an opinion. What?
I wasn't in World War II, but I have an opinion on it. So, you know,
he's not totally inept just because he's a centrist. I mean,
I'm not. No. Hang on a minute. Like, I'd like, as an experienced user, like, really?
Yeah, but Chamchi, listen. Evidence does back up the fact that you're right in some aspects, right?
Okay.
That sorry, you and I think are in agreement. But what James was bringing up is saying, are some people going to go underground to get stuff? Yes, but there's no real reason for them to do it. So if you look at the so if you look at the sort of stats after stuff has been legalized in countries, it literally eliminates it, because people just don't need to. Like, it's not a big thing. I mean, sometimes, yes, of course, but it literally slashes the black market to shreds. I mean, there might be a tiny one, but it's still, and I guess there's always going to be like a small aspect.
But I mean, okay. Let me just address that point that Angel's just made. Yes, there is a small aspect of it, and I think most of that comes down to tourists. But again, in Amsterdam, what I noticed was that there was very much that support structure. Is that most of the stuff you can get here, like whatever you need, like you can get from head shops and you can get like legally. Just don't like when we went to a hostel, they were just like, just don't go to the street dealers. Just don't do it. Like you can get alternatives from the head shops and you can get alternatives from like this. Whatever you need, you can get. And they had that support structure there, and I suppose that's the fear that I suppose James is talking about. But James, I'd like you to clarify your argument. Moving on from that.
I'm sorry, I was just eating a bit of crisp.
Sorry, mate.
I love a bit of James Fielding. He's like my
yes.
sense
No, I just believe I can understand certain drugs that should be legalized, i.e., cannabis and etc. But I just don't see how it's viable. How you can legalize like strong Class A drugs that have an impact. I think I was discussing this with Angels a few days back, and she was saying, well, if alcohol was banned now, would we legalize it knowing the side effects it has? And then when you think about it that way, we probably wouldn't. Because alcohol could be classed as like a Class A drug to some, because it can
totally.
turn people violent and stuff, etc.
I think, James, you're thinking about it in the wrong way, right? Prohibition turns something like heroin into a criminal issue, when really, if people are taking heroin, it really is a health issue. It's a societal health issue. Why do people feel the need to take heroin within that society? So it forces you to ask yourself questions about the society that they live in. And also the programs that are restricted to get people off heroin, how that is restricting their lifestyle. And I know this talking to heroin addicts myself, that within a methadone program, they call it one of the terms I used to call it on Swansea is liquid handcuffs. It's because you can't spread your rings, you can't really do anything while you're on methadone, because you have to go to, if you're a big user, you have to go to the clinic 3 times a day and get your dose, and it is very, very difficult for people to then live a normal life. And I asked one of the heroin addicts, I did a photography project on one of the charities that work in Swansea. One of the heroin addicts is like, if heroin was legal and it was treated as a health issue, how long do you think it would take you to get off heroin? And she said about 10 days, because I'm motivated because I want to get my son back. And I was like, okay, fair enough. On the dose that you're on methadone now, how long will it take you now? And she says, I'm on, I started on 70 mils. I've been on it for 6 weeks and I've gone down 10 mils. And I was just like, fuck me. So you're looking at like 6 to 8, maybe 12 months before you're clean. And she's like, yeah, I know. But this is the program that the social services, because of the legal structure that's laid out, this is what I have to do.
Right. This is exactly what I was going to bring up, right? Because we don't have really a proper structure in place for the decriminalization and then sort of almost rehabilitation when it comes to drugs in this country. I mean, we do have obviously basic ones, but we don't have it as like a mainstream thing because it isn't legal. Like we have no idea how to actually do it. And so for that reason, I just think, well, fine. What we'll do is we will introduce an education program first. Then kids start learning about it, and they do also open adult education things. Then they legalize things step by step. But I do believe it should be And I actually think that crime rates would go plummeting.
Yeah, exactly right. I think so. I mean, the same, like, give parallels to Portugal. The same thing happened there. I know it's a different society, and it's a different culture, but it's, you can draw the same parallels.
Well, yeah, I mean, you most certainly can. Can you still hear me? By the way, I've just
Yeah,
plugged in
you're
now.
actually much better now, by the way, because it sounded like you were talking in a tunnel before.
Well, I kind of was, but yeah.
Also, you need to look at the fact that the right-wing press paints it as, if we legalize all drugs, that you'll be able to go to, I don't know, an off license and pick up a shot of heroin. And it's just not like that. These are specialist places. If you go to, if you are addicted to heroin, you will go to a clinic, and this heroin will be administered by nurses. It's and so you need the support structure there first before you make this shit legal, which I think was what you were alluding to, Angels. The support structure needs to be there first before the political kind of instruction goes forward and legalizing it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's my entire point. But
exactly.
But also, it's like I was saying to, I think it was to you, Swiss. Like I was like saying about how in Holland, because it's so normal for like a Dutch person to walk into a coffee shop and just like grab like whatever they fucking want and like smoke a joint. They're not tempted to do it because it's so normal. It's like teenagers want to do stuff that is like rebellious or, bad and that kind of thing. And because they don't view it like that, they just don't have a massive fucking problem.
It's like, no, Dad, I don't want to do shrooms with you this weekend. God, leave me alone.
It's like, Dad, why don't you smoke the fucking massive blunt? No, but they are like, we might joke about that, but that's actually to some extent kind of true. Like people just go, oh well, whatever. I mean, Vinny doesn't give a fuck about it. Like I'm like, oh, shall we go down to speak it? The coffee shop that I sent you a picture of, Swiss, like the really cozy one. It was just outside our flat. And he's like, no, I don't go there. I'm like, I wouldn't mind. Come on, it's a Sunday afternoon. Let's do it. And he's like, no, thanks. You're all right. He'd like rather play PUBG. You know what I mean? It's like, but all I'm saying is, like, they're not like the coffee shops are filled with tourists. It's either Brits or Americans or Germans or whatever. And my point being that by making it normal, people don't really feel the need to, rush in and start smoking weed.
Okay.
You got off quite topic from pornography to drugs.
Okay. Next question.
What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults should be no business of the state.
Strongly
It's no business of the state.
Strongly agree.
Even the Tories don't want.
Even if I do have a
want it.
couple of midgets and a donkey in my room, I don't care what the state has to say.
Even if a horse in the room.
I
mean, is a donkey not just a midget horse?
No, it's an angry horse. It's an angry horse. It's a short. It's a horse with short man syndrome. That's what a donkey is. But
Right.
Next one. Anyway.
No one can feel naturally homosexual.
Strongly disagree.
From someone who isn't straight, I can say, yeah, that's full of shit.
I strongly disagree.
Ask me up the chemicals in the water.
Oh, Tony the Frog's gay. Disagree.
Yeah, we're gonna blame the Jews again. Those damn Jews turning our frogs gay. Damn them.
Can George Soros naturally feel homosexual? Is that the next point from here?
Yeah, but actually blaming the Jews for everything is quite a sore point after what we had the other night towards James. So, just saying.
Yes. God loves
Right.
the Jews.
Next.
Carry on.
These days, openness about sex has gone too far.
Strongly disagree.
I'll
Strongly
strongly disagree.
Yeah. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about me and you. About all the good things and the bad things and the midgets and what are you doing with that donkey in your... It's not a donkey, it's an angry horse. Okay. Not
Sorry,
to
the donkey in your what? That
not a
kind of
donkey,
gross, but
it's
okay,
an angry
carry
horse. All right.
It's just a donkey.
And a
What
couple
are you
of
doing? What are you doing with those handcuffs on the donkey?
Donkey doesn't even have hands.
Hoof cuffs. Hoof
His
cuffs.
hoofs will just slide right out of it.
Hoof cuffs.
Oh God, God.
Oh,
Please don't.
what's the donkey doing
God's
with
not
one of
going
those?
to help you now, mate.
Yeah, what's the donkey doing with one of those jockey whips?
What? Why did you just ask that?
In Soviet Russia, donkey rides you.
Oh my God, I'm going to be thrown into the gulag with a bunch of donkeys. I can see it now.
Yeah. Well, in Soviet gulag, like the donkey rides you and you pretend to like it. So, click the next question.
Right,
I think
that's
we're
it
done.
now. Yeah.
There. All right, let's see what we've got. Okay, that was quite anticlimactic.
Oh, well, it's only
Yay!
it's actually only because I muted myself.
Yay! Look how far left we are.
How
Despite
far
the
left
fact-
are we? I can't see it because I'm on my phone.
And keep in mind, some of those points are muted a bit just to get averages. I think if it was just Chachi, it would be more left.
Yeah.
If it was me, it'd be about one corner.
I think I tend to. Can you put the mouse like 4 squares up from the circle, and 2 squares to the right?
So, like when I
think
did,
that's where I am.
when I last did the political compass test, I was literally smack. I was like slightly left of like middle, and James was like middle. It was like we
No
were within
surprises.
like yeah.
In reality, you're all the way up here.
No, oh, that's bullshit.
Oh, of course.
Cameron's like, of course, just fucking trolling you.
Anyway, yeah. Well, that's the test done. It only took about 4 hours.
Can we do a quick test for me, or do we already know where I stand?
I'll tell you what, right? Do you want? Let's finish this one anyway. And if you want to set up an stream on your channel, I'll probably. Because this has been going on for 4 hours, So, I'll join you.
I can't believe it's been going on for like 4 hours. Crazy.
Yeah. You just came to contaminate us in the last hour.
We didn't contaminate you. It's in the name of balance.
Yeah.
No.
She came in to assimilate into our side and take over.
No. You were talking about your sauce, and then you called the gym.
Actually,
It came at the same time.
the centrist came here to modernize the stream. It needed
Yeah.
modern.
Well, we didn't realize. Well, maybe we didn't realize that Swiss was actually a Stalinist fucking dictator. But
Well, I mean, no. Actually, the other test was hilarious. Like the results, I think G got like fucking 99% communist or something, and then who was it else? Like Rahi got like 84% communist or something, which was fucking crazy.
I was trying to get Rahi on here tonight, man, but he was just like, I'm not ready yet. I was like, fair enough. But he was talking about the fact that he's moved so far to the left over last year or two. I was like, mate, I want to talk to you about that. And he was just like, no, I'm not up for it. Not yet. And I was like, oh, dude, please. I really want to talk to you about that. Because he was like, before he was like nearly 100% nationalist. Wow. Crazy. But yeah, let's sign off, everybody. So I'm going to leave it to you, Angels, first. So thank you for watching, guys. I know it only took 4 hours to complete one quiz, but thank you for joining us. Bob Elvis, thank you. Shafted, always a pleasure, never a chore. And Cameron, thank you for reading out the questions in your seductive dulcet tones. And I'm going to head it off now to Angels, who's hopefully going to tell us about the next stream.
Yes, and I will be doing one on my channel shortly. But then you said that apparently I sound better now on my phone, which is kind of weird considering it's my phone, which is a piece of shit. So,
well, if you're talking into a turd, that's not my problem. I'm just going to end this stream on my channel. So,
okay, I'm going robot again, I think.
No, you're not. You're not going robot. You sound actually really, really clear. Much clearer than robot Swiss, who's actually trying to stick us all in the gulag and under his Stalinist yoke. Swiss, sign off. What have you got going on next week? Plug away.
Next week, I don't actually have an awful lot going on. I'm away visiting some family, so I probably won't be doing that many videos, actually. It's going to be a rather quiet week next week. But to leave you with something interesting, I'm seeing in front of me that Jim Carrey is in talks to play Dr. Robotnik in a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie. So make of that what you will.
Are you doing a Sunday stream?
I will be this week, and I won't be next week.
Okay, cool. Are you turning over the mantle to someone else? Maybe like Mantle?
If he's still about. Yeah, if anyone else wants to host one on their channel next Sunday, then they're more than welcome to.
Okay, cool. So but you'll definitely be doing it this week.
Yes.
Weekend. Usually about, I was just gonna say about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that.
Yeah, around about then.
Okay, so yeah, filling anything else that you've got going there. So good. Gerard, thank you for joining us. You've been brilliant as always. If a little quiet, you should speak up more. Exactly. Thank you, Gerard, for joining us. Gerard again. There he is, like speaking his way. You're too loud, Gerard. Just shut up for a minute. Let someone else talk. Okay, now. Good job, Gerard. Nice one for backing yourself up. Gerard.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Are you getting these links at all? I'm trying to lead you in here and giving you a thing. So here is Gerard signing off. This is when you speak, by the way.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Do you have any plugs or anything? Do you have anything that you get into next week? No.
Jeez.
All right. And then we're left with James. All right, James. It's always a chore, never a pleasure. Anyway, good night, everybody. I'm joking. Go on, James.
I'll wish you a good evening. I'm going to say good evening. Have a good night. And don't let the begs bugs bite. Peace out. Love all.
The begs
remember
bugs.
to fuck Corbyn.
Right.
The best bugs.
The best bugs. Yeah. All right. Nice one, everybody. Thank you very much. And yeah, join us on Angel's channel. Angels is going to do a stream soon, I think. So in a bit, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.